welcome back, David.
Hi, how are you today? I hope everything is fine. I'm happy to be back again, and we're going to speak today about the Essenes and the Zealots from the time of Jesus Christ, and maybe they were here before then also. So I would like to speak about the Essenes today. Yes, I'm sure you've heard of the Essenes, correct?
I've heard of them indeed, and I know there's, many stories and mysteries and theories surrounding them, so I'm sure many people are very curious to hear what
Yes.
you have to say about that.
Yes, and now before we go on to the Essenes, because last time we spoke about what is happening in Palestine, so the thing is, I would like to remind people about what is going on. Like, for example, what we are being shown in our side of the world, in England and in America and in Europe, is people have been kidnapped by Hamas or related organizations. Yes, it's a very sad thing. There is many people, especially Russian Israelis, who are saying it's an inside job, and many people in Israel also don't believe it. But the thing is, it's not a question of belief for now because we don't have evidence to denounce it. But the thing is, people have been kidnapped by an organization from the Palestinians, and what we can see is civilians being kidnapped there. It's terrible and it's horrific, and many people will not condemn it. Yes, there is many Jewish people in England and America who are not condemning it, who are standing in protest called Free Free Gaza or something, or Free Free Palestine. Yes, and the thing is, have a look at this. It's ridiculous. This is what I have to say. I mean, look at this. There's men, women, children, people who've been kidnapped, and there's posters of
I'm
civilians
sorry to
who've been
say, but even just here, who would take a picture like that? You have people
with
that are bound, and you point a gun at them. It's an
I
interesting
will
PR.
explain this in a minute. It's something to do with prisoner exchange because the Gaza military, they've kidnapped 200 people. This is what the media is telling us. And the thing is, what many people don't know is that they've requested in exchange saying that Israel hand over 6,000 people that Israel has kidnapped. 6,000. I mean, the media isn't talking about this, nor are these so-called Muslims who are protesting, jumping up and down, who have no idea what is going on. Yes. So the thing is, Israel parades the Palestinian Arab prisoners and says, "Hey, hey, we've got these," and on the other side we have Hamas, and they are, parading prisoners too, and it's very terrible here. I have to condemn what's going on, and the thing is, I'm not going to not condemn it because this is just terrible and ridiculous. And I've heard many people, especially from an Islamic background, who are totally silent to this, and I didn't like it. It's like, for example, here, what we have is somebody with a gun, and the stories that I think that's a woman there, and she was supposed to have been raped. Yes, and the thing is, the Palestinians have turned around and said, "Hey, Israel has raped many of our civilians too, thousands, in fact," which nobody's speaking about. Yes, but the thing is, one crime does not justify another, and I would not say it's Israel. This is wrong. I would say it's the people in power. I will not say it's the Palestinians either. It's the people in power. There is evidence that shows that Hamas was created by the people in power, and these politicians like Netanyahu and the rest of them are working for the same people. Now, then there is, people in Europe and America, especially, I don't like to say, I'm not proud of it, people in Britain, British people, native whites, British, English people also, who are, saying terrible things, and many people were actually laughing. I noticed, even in France, even in Germany, and in other places, they were laughing, putting insulting things, saying, "Hey, this happened to Jewish people." And then the thing is, what we see here is, here is, terrorists. I call them terrorists. There is some Muslims who say that they're freedom fighters. They're kidnapping civilians. I don't call kidnapping civilians, especially when they know that they're going to put more people in danger. I don't call that freedom fighters. Yes, and the thing is, we see a similar thing. Israelis going with the same military uniform, covering their faces, kidnapping Palestinian civilians almost every day for the last 60, 70 years. Yes, it doesn't justify either side. Israel has only kidnapped 1 million people or up to 1 million. Human rights organizations have reported this, and many Jewish people from England and America have been to interview these people. They've documented it themselves. But still, it doesn't justify if Hamas has kidnapped 200 people, or if the Israeli people in power have kidnapped 800,000 or 1 million people. I know it's ridiculous to say 1 million people, and in Europe and America, people are silent. It's because in Europe and America, the people are not really so nice and so kind. Yes, they're two-faced. On one side, they're happy about the conflicts against the Muslims. On the other side, yes, they're laughing at the Jewish people. Many people, not everybody. Yes, I'm proud to say this. Here we see civilians being kidnapped in Israel. I mean, this is just a pathetic joke. Yes, and then I would like to specifically point out something that we are told about Israel. Yes, yes, that they have many Nobel Prize winners, and that's more Nobel Prize winners per capita than Germany, the United States, and France. So, so one would assume, that there's many intelligent people there. Yes, let me just point out the intelligence of the Nobel Prize. Yes, Nobel Prize is named after the founder of the Nobel Prize. He was the owner of an oil company that was heavily involved in World War I, financing people that were murdering civilians. Yes. And so now we have these Israeli politicians. And the biggest joke is, if they're so clever, in 100 years, they couldn't make a peace agreement, or 70 years. What type of clever is this? It means that there is an agenda. Yes. Oh, by the way, this will be in my new book about Hamas. 19 years ago, their leader, Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, he got kidnapped by the Israelis and he got killed, and they swore revenge, and 19 years later, this is happening. Yes. And then, of course, many people will say, last time David spoke about the Palestinians, today he's speaking about the Israelis and everything. People are going to say that David is on the side of Israel or on the side of Palestine. I am not on anybody's side. I'm on the side of the people. I don't like to see 1 million people be kidnapped. I don't like to see several hundred people be kidnapped. I don't like what's going on. I'm sending you these videos. You can actually put the face on. Normally, I hide the face. I'm sending you 2 videos. I'm not sure which one will play. Yes, in the when you compile the video, stop it and actually put this video and play the actual voice of this woman, because she's dead. Yes, and she's holding paper. Yes, she died last week. This is the reason why I didn't contact you for a few days, actually. And the thing is, well, people would say she was killed, but she was murdered by the people in power who claim that they represent Israel.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أنا هبة. بارك الله فيك. هاي سلامة الفلوس. هذا أنا.
They don't represent Israel or the Jewish people. They're giving the Jewish people and the Israeli people a bad name. Yes, this is one of my friends. This is not a small story. Even the Turkish president, Erdogan, spoke about this lady's family. And this story is very famous. And I can't believe she's my personal friend. Her entire family was murdered by, bombs in civilian targets in Gaza last week. And here is another personal video. I asked her grandfather's permission. Her grandfather survived, and one of her sons has survived. This is a personal video. I'm sending you pictures. This woman, she had 3 children. 2 of the children were killed, and the thing is, it's all over the media, even in Japan, even in China. Here is one son that survived. They gave him a nice haircut. International organizations, they gave him new clothes. Here he is looking for his mother and brothers and sisters. I sent you one video. And I think this is his sister or his cousin. It was a big apartment building, and the media said about 20 people in the family died. The media thinks all people have died, but I know that the grandfather has survived, so the media does exaggerate. I know about 4 people or maximum 5 people who've survived. Here is the grandfather, and the girl, she's hiding her face there. She's looking down because Muslims are modest. Yes, she sent me the other private video. Um, you know, the second video I sent. Um, yeah, if you want to hide the faces or something of the blood and everything in the pictures, do it. And the big son has survived. I knew them personally, so I'm sending these pictures to verify that I knew them personally. Yes, and the thing is, I knew them personally. And the thing is, the entire family, 15 people, and in the apartment block, 100, um, not hundreds of people. I mean, because the next door, many buildings collapsed also, so hundreds of people died at that time. I don't know what type of people are in power in Israel. Yes, here is more personal pictures. Yes, and the thing is, it's because I sent them money several times. Here she is with her 3 children, and one child survived. I know the area pretty well. And the thing is, in case somebody is saying that's a fake picture of the father and everything, this was on the total, all over the media and everything. In in it was even in Nigeria, it was even in Russia. I checked it. I couldn't believe it. It's all over TikTok, Instagram. All these Muslims have contacted me, and they're showing me this. I would like to say something to them. Many of them are now telling me, saying, "Hey, David, how can we help these people? Or these things, this family is dead. How are you going to help them now that they're dead?" It's all over the media. The entire family got killed. I'm estimating several 100 million people have seen this thing, and they can check with the Palestinian Authority. Here is her identification card because I was sending her money. She's dead, so you can publish it. I asked her grandfather's permission. He survived, and what is very important is her name. Aha. Yes, her name, now I'm going to show you, is very strange. And this is where the Essenes come in. Yes, her name, I'm writing it out so that you can put it there, is actually Hiba is her first name. Her family name is Judah. She is from the original tribe of Judah. And this is where we're going to talk about what do you call it, the Essenes, and what was and more about who are the Jews, and same like English. The Americans are English. The Australians are also English. Many of them, I mean, and in England there is English too. So there are many of the places. This is her name. If people want to find it, yes, and let me just send evidence. I've been sending her money because there's some evil people, yes, who commented and saying David hasn't, they're fakes, this, that, whatever. When I said I put it that I constructed these things, those evil people know who they are. Why do you, I've noticed you keep coming back and watching more videos. Why are you watching more? And then you pretend and put some nice comments and fake ones. Yes, I don't know why they do this, but of course they've got no shame and no respect. But all I can think of is that of course, they'll come because they know that I've got something important to say. But anyway, let me just send proof that I sent money. Um, you know, yes, recently I sent her money, so I'm going to send the proof now. I can't send anymore because she's dead. Yes. So here we have here is transferring money on MoneyGram. Yes. This is $100 US. Here is another time, transferring money. This is 50 US. Sending money every month. So this is just recently. I'll have to go through the app for more older things. Here is another one. Um, $50. Here is another copy of her identification card with the number, and it's very clear. In case somebody thinks I'm lying about this, that she's dead, let me just. I didn't believe it. When the father told me she's dead, I asked him more than 20 times in that day. I didn't believe it. Then I started checking online. That's how I found out. And then I was surprised. Just 3 days. Here is her name on the Palestinian Authority register. Here she is in Arabic news. And the thing is, the story was so big because the entire family was basically killed, apart from 4 or 5 members. And the thing is, let me just show. Here is um, the area in the buildings and the identification card number. So here is from Turkish news. And what we see in Turkish news, it says Filistinli çocuk, not kokuk, çocuk, cansız bedenler arasında ailesini aradı. It's saying, from this apartment block building, yes, the entire building has been destroyed. The entire family has died. And the thing is, in the background, we can see a new building that's being built there from damages before and everything. But let me just show that it's on the Turkish media. And the Turkish president spoke about it just on Sunday. Here is from the Turkish media. Gazetin acı görüntüler Filistinli çocuk cansız bedenler arasında ailesini aradı. Yes, it's saying that the entire family was killed. Now this boy in the video, yes, many people have seen this in non-Western countries because it's blocked in Western countries or not shown. Yes, the Western media doesn't show these things. It's because the people in power in the West are in power over there. And the thing is, it's got nothing to do with the Israeli people or the civilians. I'm just sending you so that people know that this is actually worldwide news. I couldn't believe it. Yes, so the thing is, I denied it about 20 times, even the next day, the day after. I was just looking for clues. I didn't want to believe it. Actually, it devastated me because, I didn't think that it's going to happen. I had no idea. I couldn't believe it. So now the thing is, what is going to be the final solution here? Yes, many people don't see what's going on in Israel. There's many people for the last 20 years like expel the Arab enemy. The thing is, they're not showing this in the media. There's people who are protesting, kill them all. And then many people are saying, who are the Israeli military? Yes, here are people in Israel. They have conscription. So here we see Israeli men and young men, and they're chanting, kill the Arabs, kill them all, etc. Yes, but that doesn't mean what do you call it? All Jews around the world accept this. There's Jews like, for example, here is in Boston. Yes, they're saying free Palestine. There is and they're going to call them liberals. They're not liberals. They're nice people. There are many nice Jewish people. So the thing is, this is, and then we've got on the other side, on the Palestinian side, what we're seeing is, crazy statements before. The first is the cleansing of Palestine and the filth of Jews. Yes, they're calling for to remove Jewish people from there. Yes, it is not the fault of the new generation. What's going on? Many people were born there. So, and the thing is, we also have to remember that after the British government and the French caused all these problems in the Middle East in the 1930s and 40s, it caused a problem in the Jewish communities in Arab countries, and many of them went to live in Israel. Yes, so people have got the right to live everywhere. In the thing is, but the thing is, the people who are in power. What you call it, the people who are in power, they're the ones who are causing these problems. Like here is Erdogan's speech. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of the Turkish Republic, he's mentioning the little boy in the video, that he goes, he looks at his dead mother, dead brother, dead sister. Yes, and he mentions it just on Sunday. Now, the thing is, you know, I'm Mr. Nobody, and there's many Muslims who are criticizing me. I worked hard for my money. I sent money to people before they died, before the war. How dare you talk about me? At least I have the honor that a family um, who has, been murdered, I supported them. Where were you people? Oh, you're going to support them now? Oh, for a few weeks, then when the war comes down? And then many of you think that all the Jewish people are involved in this. The people have got nothing to do with this. It will be in my new book. Anyway, about the Essenes. Now, Erdogan said something new 2-3 days ago that he's never said before. Yes, he talks about the fake establishment of the states, yes, in the Middle East. And he calls it all our homeland. The people are the Sunni Muslims. Yes, what do you call it? Yes, and he's actually he's making a political statement saying that this is the land of the Muslims, so that the sound of prayer will be there in these lands. Yes, and then he turned around and says that the New World Order, yes, will sacrifice Israel and will not care about Israel when the day comes, that they're using it for their own objectives. And that's clear. Yes, they're using it for their own objectives. Yes, because half the people in Israel, many that I know, have got nothing to do with this whatsoever. Now, let me just show you what is actually going on in Israel before we get to the Essenes, because many people think they know. Here is the United States during the Black Lives Matter protests just 2-3 years ago. Civilians were burning things. They were burning buildings, throwing rocks and bricks. But the American army didn't shoot them. Now, the Palestinians are throwing bricks and stones in their own territory. The Israelis or the people in power shoots them. Yes, there is a difference. In Europe and America, protesters, the police beat them up. In Israel, if they're Muslims or Arabs, they shoot them. That's the difference. Yes, it's a big difference. Yes, that's in America, they've got their stakes. Yeah, and they'll fire tear gas and everything. But what do you call it? In Israel, they're shooting civilians. Yes, for the last 70 years. Basically on a daily basis. So now we will see similar protests even in China. Everyone said China's so brutal. China is so bad. Yes, China, here they are. They're beating up the protesters. The protesters can't do nothing in a Hong Konger. And Hong Kong, is being abused. They didn't shoot the protesters. There was only one incident where the Chinese authorities actually pulled out a gun. I think there was one or two or something. But, in Israel, we're talking about, they've shot thousands and thousands of people, maybe 100,000. I don't even know how many. So people were turning around saying, oh, China's so bad. The thing is, in our side of the world, we are not talking about what's going on, and what people don't know. Even here is in the Yellow Press in France, and in France we saw the protest 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we did not see the French police shooting the protesters, shooting them in the leg. And here we see protesters with weapons and bars, and they're throwing stones at the French police. But the police, what they did was what a normal police force will do. Now let's compare in Israel, not Israel, inside Palestine, Israeli soldiers who are working for the people in power, nothing to do with the Jewish people, by the way. They walk in and they shoot protesters. Here is an example. Yes, they're shooting civilian protesters. So they've invaded. They're no different from Hamas. Yes. Now Hamas has shot several hundred people in this incident. How many has the Israeli military done? How many have they shot? Now the thing is, nothing's going to change. Nothing changed in 70 years. In civilian areas, they're shooting men, women, children, pensioners. You know, in England they call them all biddies. Yeah. Now the thing is, because there is something else going on. Everybody knows there is a war against Islam. We're denying it. There is a war against Islam, so nobody will want to know. Now, nobody can turn around and say the Israeli army is the only brutal one. The Americans did the same thing. Yes, they did it in Iraq, Afghanistan, in Vietnam. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, even Israeli newspapers. This is not, Jewish people making up stories outside Israel. Yes, Israeli newspapers even regularly report they've had enough of these people in power. 42 knees, like when there's children or men or women or pensioners, old biddies, if you want to call them, walking past, they're shooting them in the legs. Yes, 200 Palestinians killed, 8,000 injured in 2 years. Yes, and it's not protest, it's an invasion on their territory. Oh, they're going to say God gave it them. Okay, maybe God gave it them. I would like everyone who's listening, please telephone God or send him an email and ask him, did God tell these people that they can shoot people in the leg? I'm not sure what God's email address is. Maybe it's 19 asterisk AOL.com or yahoo.com or 911 19 for his telephone number. Or maybe you can contact the Israeli embassy because they say they've been chosen by God, and ask them, hey, can you give us the email address of God? Yeah, they're just shooting them in the leg, you know what I mean. So now many of these people, their brothers, sisters, and fathers, they have joined Hamas. But Hamas, they're only attacking several hundred people a year. Israel is attacking thousands of people a year. So now the thing is, here we are, they're just shooting people in the legs, kids who are walking past going to school, things like this. Oh, they're a tough army. They're so tough that they can shoot kids. But tomorrow morning, if the British Army walked in, like the Arab Legion walked in, they couldn't fight then, could they? Yes, they can't fight when a real army walks in. Yes. So the thing is, you can't tell the difference between some of these people. Like this one here, he just looks like an average Israeli to me. Yes, because many Israelis are not white. Yes, and they're shooting them in the leg. The Israeli army, when they go inside Gaza, or they've been going inside, or the snipers are shooting, they've been coming in and out, for the last 70 years in the West Bank. There's a woman on the floor. They're just shooting people. Yes, shooting people random. It's a bit of a joke. You don't need to see a computer game. They do these things all the time. Yeah, even at checkpoints, they shoot people. Yeah. Or if you speak about it, you're getting shot, arrested. God knows what's going to happen, But it's actually a joke. Yes, it's actually a joke. What's going on? So the thing is, they're shooting, kids, babies. God knows what's going on. That it's actually just a joke. That the thing is, this is not about Gaza. This is not about Arabs. This is about something else. Yes, this is about the New World Order. People won't understand. They're just, killing kids, things like this. Thousands of people, shooting shooting, 3, 4-year-old kids in the eye, going outside schools, where there's 7, 8-year-olds, and shooting people who are walking past even in the morning, afternoon. It's just a joke. It's been happening for 50 years, shooting people in the leg. So all these protesters who are going out there, free Gaza, do they even know what's going on? Have your protests helped a single thing in 100 years? And then you're going to criticize me? Yes. And the thing is, hey, I've been sending money. I've even sent you proof. So who the hell are you to talk about me? You understand? Yeah, they've got no right to talk about me. Things like that. Yeah. Well. Anyway, it's just disgusting what's going on, and it's actually the people in power. It's got nothing to do with the Israeli people. Yes, there is many Israeli people who are involved, and many. Here is a picture. People who are shouting, "Kill the Arabs! Kill the Arabs!" Kill them all. Many of these men are in the army because in Israel there's conscription. Yes, and in Europe and America, people think that these people are white European. So in Europe and America, many people support them. Yes, because they think it's a race thing. Well, have a look at this carefully. What is the difference between these people and Iranians and Arabs and Pakistan's and Afghanistan's people? I don't see much difference. I don't see, oh, they're shouting death to the Arabs there and things like this. So the thing is, it's not about color, and there's many religious Jews who don't support them either. Like for example, um, I, I don't like people burning flags. Yes, because the thing is, when you burn flags, you could be offending somebody in a protest. The thing is, if there is a problem, then you look at it in a different way. If you're living outside Israel and Palestine, you're outside the battle zone or outside the Middle East. So if you're outside, you should take a different approach to see how you can influence peace. Yes, but here they are burning flags. I mean, if you don't like it, then burn the flag in your backyard. Don't do it in public to actually, incite people. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, and the thing is here. I'll show you. Here is, the thing is, um, these people have got nothing to do with it. That maybe these women here are Israeli women. They've been, kidnapped. Maybe these women were actually very friendly people towards Arabs anyway. So what? This is something that is just a joke. Yes, that civilians are caught in the way of the people who are in power. Yes, and not just the people who are in power, of people who have also been hurt and they don't know what to do. Yes, many people will join crazy organizations, yes, or do bad things, saying, hey, somebody in my family was kidnapped. I mean, there we see, civilians, kidnapped by the Hamas. It's not a nice thing. And here we see, the brave Israeli army that in the new picture, let me just send it to you. It's where they've been bombing hospitals, yes, and other places. Because I have friends all over the world, I have verified these things. And the thing is, some of these children who are dead, some of their fathers are going to think, hey, I will want revenge. I mean, does it not say in the book of God, these people claim that we have been chosen by God? Yes. Does it not say an eye for an eye and a leg for a leg? So now I will show you what is very evil. Yes, what's going on in the world. Yes, especially in our side and on the Muslim side. In our side, we are being shown what's going on for the Western civilization, and on the Muslim side, there, the Muslims represent probably a quarter of the world's population, and they're showing only what's in their side of the world, which is not fair. I don't think it's good because there's two sides to every story, and if we don't examine both sides, then we are not going to have, a proper peace. Now, what we're seeing in England, in America, in Europe, they're not showing it very much because I've noticed Europe is Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Holland. Scandinavia, they're very anti-Jewish. Yes, I noticed this. People are showing posters showing Hamas has kidnapped people. In fact, let me find a better picture. Yes, and then we will see people in America and Canada who are supporting Israel, saying, look, all these people have been kidnapped. But now in Europe and America, they're showing this in the media. But in our side of the world, what we can't see, because I'm speaking to people in our side of the world, we have to see, hey, the Muslims are holding up posters too. Why has Israel kidnapped these people? Yes, they've kidnapped women, children,
And again, just
pensioners.
to be clear, the kidnapping has occurred by, let's say, the quote unquote Israeli military and quote unquote Hamas, which again both are controlled by the same New World Order. And I mean, that's the big joke, right?
Yes, I'm just about to get to this.
Yes, yes, no,
So
I
now
just
the
wanted to
first,
make it clear again because it's so insane how you can
yeah,
rile people up and you can have an
yeah.
endless
Now,
cycle of
now the thing
violence.
is, because of the racism of people, let me just show an example to people. Here is women, in Cyprus, and you'll see them without the headscarves. Here is similar women. Just because we see them dressed like this, we seem to think, I can relate to them. Just because somebody else is dressed like this, does this mean that, hey, we shouldn't look at them? Now, if you're in Europe and America, go and look at your great grandmother's pictures. All of them dressed like these Muslims, by the way.
Yeah.
So you've got no right to look down on them. This evidence is in my books. Yes, and the thing is, in every war. Now the thing is, let me just show you. Here is James Bond. I quite like Mr. Bond, and Mr. Bond, 007, they say he is. And if you would like to know, sometimes I would like to say, when I play the character of James Bond, I say, the name's Bond, James Bond. Now here, let me just show you. Um, um, here is a picture of James Bond. He's on a parachute, and he's such an expert. He's so amazing when we watch these movies, and he's parachuting and landing in enemy territory. Now we know that he had the best training in the world. Only members of the CIA, the KGB, and Bond, of course, and the British Secret Services have such training.
Oh no,
Now,
I
I
have
would
an
like to
idea where
point
you're going. Please continue.
Yes, I would like to point out to you that when Hamas mysteriously invaded Israel with the parachutes and all these things, they had such heavy military training that the Egyptians aren't capable of this. The Jordanians aren't capable of this, nor are the Saudis or the Syrians. Even the Israelis would have a difficult time to be trained in such a way. The Israeli army is not even trained up to such a standard. I can almost vouch for that. Everybody thinks Mossad is like very advanced. It's not really. Yes, the Americans have got this kind of training. The Chinese have got it now. The British have it. The Japanese have it. The Russians have it. The Germans don't, because Germany, after the Americans took over, we pretend it's an independent country, but with American bases everywhere. In other words, we rule your country. Same with Italy. Italy, the people think they're independent, but that's a joke. Yes. So now I would like to point out, who the hell are these people, Hamas? There is no way. And then they're firing thousands of rockets non-stop that we're hearing. Many people say that the rockets are fake. There is no Iron Dome. But let's pretend it's true. Let's pretend for a minute. They've got thousands of rockets. You need a big industry and an economy to manufacture these Katyusha rockets. And if many people don't know, they can check online. The Katyusha rockets have a maximum range of up to 19 miles, which they tell us, 19
Oh,
miles. Yeah. And 19 years ago, Hamas's leader got assassinated. You know what I mean? On the first day, there was 1,900 injured on both sides. I won't get into that, but there's more of this media lie that's going on here. Now, you tell me, how the hell did Hamas get the training? Same like James Bond. I mean, Bond, my dear. I've been watching you for quite a long time. I don't understand. How could you be on the side of these Hamas or Palestinians? Maybe Hamas is working for the British. By the way, when Sheikh Ahmed Yassin formed his organization many, many years ago, his Islamist organization had the same name as the British organization that the British formed in the 1930s in Gaza. Oh, by the way, Hamas's original founding organization was registered in Israel. An Israeli organization. Oh, these are in my new books. I won't get diverted. So now let's go back to Heva. Yes, the lady who's died. Yes, um, you know, who's died. Her name is Heba Judah, and the thing is, I I wasn't going to share this information because I'm actually sick. I'm actually sick to death of the pathetic comments by many evangelicals and Islamists who are coming on the videos putting stupid, pathetic comments. Yes, and they're disturbing other people. I even saw some comments that are laughable. That some people saying, "Ah, that's David commenting." Excuse me, I get 1,000 messages a week. Yes, and messages and comments for books and everything. I doubt I'm sat there on some stupid YouTube comment to comment. The reason why I read them is to see has anybody posted anything important for me to actually discuss. Yes, so now let's go to these Essenes. Yes, and as you've noticed, the name is Judah. Have you noticed this?
Yes.
Isn't she supposed to be an Arab? Or what they say, Ishmaelite? Or is the whole story of Arabs and Ishmael a forgery? Her name is Judah. This indicates the tribe of Judah. Yes, not just indicates, it actually is the tribe of Judah. I'm going to present the evidence now. Yes, let me just find the page where to start. Yes, so a big question is, why was that lady from Palestine, her family named Judah? Yes, I send money to many people all around the world. Yes, not just this family. Yes, by the way, in case somebody's saying, hey, David's talking about one family. But anyway, so getting back to it, when I read serious comments, somebody was mentioning the indentures. Yes, the thing is, what these people were very smart and very clever. They practically blew up Eastern Europe, destroying it in wars. And then they said, hey, we got a nice idea. These people are running now. So when they're running, yes, many of these people will offer them a contract. How we can make money out of them, yeah. So they thought, hey, we'll make them sign a contract saying we'll give you a new home. You got nowhere to live. You can die now, or you can become our slave, but by contract. Yes, we'll pay for you this and that to get to America, Australia, Argentina, wherever, and you got to work for us. Yes, so that's what the indentures were about. More of the story of how they destroyed Eastern Europe is available in my book called The Orphan Trains. If you've not read it, it's too long. I can't put that here. Now, somebody else put another serious comment. Yes, not some of the pathetic comments that people are putting, just because they've been influenced by religion. Yes, the thing is, some people will say the Bible says this and that. The Bible does not tell you what's going on in South Korea several centuries ago. It's not telling you what happened in Cambodia. Some people will say, hey, this is not mentioned in my Quran, this history. The Quran is not telling you about New Zealand specifically or what's happening in Botswana near South Africa. What is wrong with you people? Huh? Do you think that only these books have history and only you people have history? I've basically told you to get lost because you're disturbing other people. Yes, but anyway, here is a genuine comment. Yes, somebody who speaks about the Zealots. And according to the official history, from what we know, is the Zealots were there 2,000 years ago when Christ was mysteriously crucified in 33 AD. Yes, 33 is to do with the number 19 squared. This is explained in my books. If you've not read my books, then sorry. And then it says, what do you call it? The Zealots were seen like a fourth sect of Judaism. And then he's asking, or she, about, hey, what about, Polish Stein and the Polish zloty or zloty, which means gold coin, gold. Remember this gold? Of course. Yes. So the thing is, he's noticed something. So now let's go on about what he says and examine the zealots. At that time, there was the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the zealots and the Essenes. These were, according to historians, they were Jewish sects. Notice the quote, Jewish. Yes, this is what they're telling us, that they were there 2,000 years ago, and now they've disappeared. Same like the Hebrew language disappeared 2,000 years ago. But let's look at the exact details of what we know from the three main records. The three main records are actually by Philo of Alexandria, Pliny, or Pliny if you want to call him, and the other one is Josephus. Josephus. We don't have any original copies of these people. What we've got is from the 16th century. So now look at what we know. The Essenes abandoned Jerusalem. Yes, and where did they go? Read the third line.
It seems in protest against the way the temple was being run, and they go to the desert.
Wait. Okay. So this means Jerusalem is not in the desert. The current Jerusalem in the Middle East is actually in the desert. Yes, now we've turned it into a big urban area of about 500,000 people, and they're bringing water from the Mediterranean and other places because there's no water there, and they've built many farm fields around it, but still it's in the desert area. So this means Jerusalem is not in a desert area, the one that Josephus and the rest of them talk about, even though we don't have the originals. And even to this day, there is some pathetic, yes, Islamists or from a Muslim background. I don't say Muslims because it's not the Muslim community, yes, who are trying to say, what do you call it, that this Jerusalem in the Middle East is the Jerusalem, but no, that place is called Quds. It's not Jerusalem. There is no evidence it was ever Jerusalem. Yes, you have to read my books, to know more about this specifically. If you've not read the full details, then the details are in my book, Jerusalem is in Europe, and it explains the different Jerusalems, like Jerusalem in Africa, near South Africa, Jerusalem in Scotland, Jerusalem in Utah, Jerusalem in many different places. It explains what is Jerusalem. It comes in most European languages, it is salam, not shalom. Yes, and the word salam and shalom actually means peace. These religions are supposed to represent peace. So why are people jumping up and down in protest? Inciting people? I don't see no peace in this. Yes. So now let's go to it. Then there is not many other documents talking about the Essenes, big documents until the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, in the 1950s. Yes, they were discovered in the Qumran caves, and people say that they're in Hebrew. But the thing is, many people say that they're all forgeries. Some people say not all of them, but parts of it. But the evidence shows that everything is a forgery. Yes, that they claim these are from the 1st century. And of course, yes, it's at the same time that, people from Europe went to live in what we call Israel today. And around that time, just after World War II, they've just found these scrolls. And these scrolls, mysteriously they find, within these scrolls, they find the oldest versions of the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. Yes, with the exception of the Book of Esther. Yes, but it justifies that Jerusalem is in that area. That's what they're trying to say. Yes, so that's the thing. So now, what they tell us is that the Essenes, one of the biggest sects in the Middle East, or the biggest sects of Judaism, 2,000 years ago. Yeah, those are the recent documents, Dead Sea Scrolls, 20th century. The evidence shows that they're a forgery. Yes, total forgery. Yeah, and I'll go through that in a minute. But the oldest documents we've got are from the Renaissance, 16th, 17th century. For example, Josephus. And what do we see? Josephus, he says that the Essenes were tortured by the Romans. Was this by the ancient Romans or the Holy Romans? They left Jerusalem, which is not in the desert, to go live in the desert. This sounds like the Holy Roman Empire, which is Western Europe and the Mediterranean. Yes, Eastern Byzantine Empire. And these Essenes, they normally wore white clothes. Yes, and they've disappeared for the last 2,000 years. Now, what we find very strange, yes, is that there's a group of people who are in the desert. Nowadays, they'll wear jeans or modern clothes, but half of them won't. But what we know is that in the same region, what we call Palestine or Judea or Arabia or Jordan or Syria, we've got a group of people there that today we call them Arabs. Yes, and they're all wearing white clothes for some reason, and they're called Sunnis, or let's say it's in the Palestinian or Jordanian dialect, they're called Asunis or Essenes.
Mm-hmm.
Have you received the picture with the white clothes?
Yeah.
Yes, and when other Muslims from all over the world go to that region, to Mecca to do the pilgrimage, they must wear the white clothes. Yes, because the Essenes demanded that what do you call it? Yes, that all of them dressed in the white clothes. Now, what we'll notice about the Essenes is that the Essenes um, were not like how we imagine them to be today. But what we are told now, these Sunni Muslims or Sunni Muslims, yes, they all must wear this white clothes. Yes, if they go to that region, especially to Mecca. Yes, and they all used to wear white clothes until the last 50 years. As European
Mm-hmm.
invaders came, and things like this. So why do they wear white clothes? Yes, everybody knows. Why do these Arabs, Sunnis tend to wear white? Yes, white turbans, white this, white that. So people are questioning. So the Essenes did the same thing. Yes, and the reason why they went to the deserts, what we can see from Josephus, Pliny, and from Philo of Alexandria and other documents during the Renaissance. Of course, they will say these documents are many centuries old, but they were rewritten during the Renaissance. If you've not read the book Jerusalem is in Europe, yes, I can't do anything. But anyway, they turned and said that they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the Dead Sea Scrolls mentioned the Essenes, but those scrolls are no doubt a forgery. They mysteriously were found after the Second World War, when Israel was turned into a country after many European people arrived, and they claimed that these people were Israelis or Jews. Yes, it was very political. Yes, and mysteriously in the Dead Sea Scrolls, I've sent you the review. In the review, we can see that they mysteriously found complete old version of the Old Testament without the book of Esther. Yes, where they couldn't find it anywhere else. Yes, but anyway, and they claimed that the Dead Sea Scrolls were written by the Essenes. Yes, and the Essenes have been mentioned by Josephus, and Pliny, and by Philo of Alexandria, and many other people. And they've told us they disappeared 2,000 years ago. Yes, but many people wrote about them in the Middle Ages, everything. It's so strange that they disappeared for 2,000 years ago, and they've gone. These people were supposed to be for God. Didn't these people save God? But anyway, what we know about these Essenes is that these Essenes, Josephus relates that they used to wear white clothes. This was this was part of their system, to wear white clothes, so that you don't use resources of the ways of the world and things like this. They wanted to get away from the world. So that's who these Essenes were. and they went to the desert. Now, when they went to the desert, what is so strange is that they went there and they went from Jerusalem. And they left Jerusalem to go to the desert. So this means Jerusalem was not in a desert area, which is clear. Yes? So these people are going there, so they are called Jews, according to Josephus, or from the people from the kingdom of Judah. Now, what is strange is that in the Middle East, there is a group of people in Jordanian and Palestinian and many of the local dialects, they call themselves Sunnis. In English, we call them Sunni. Yes, Sunni Muslims. It's so
Hmm.
strange they've got the same name. Yes. Oh, by the way, this Heber Judah who died, her name is Judah. She's from the family and tribe of Judah. Yes, which she is. She was one of these Sunnis or Essenes. They told us that the Essenes or these Sunnis died 2,000 years ago or 1,800 years ago. But these white clothes, as you can see in the photograph, when the Muslims go to the Kaaba, and this was a tradition from the Essenes or the Sunnis from before the Prophet Muhammad. They've been doing this before the Prophet Muhammad existed. So they did not get this tradition or this idea from the so-called Muslim history called Hadith. It was already there. Yes. Many of these desert Bedouins, they can't read or write. They've kept this tradition. You don't read a book, how to tie your shoelaces when you're a child, or how to brush your teeth, saying put the toothpaste on the toothbrush. The children learn it from their parents. Yes, you don't learn how to eat from reading a book when you're a baby or a child. You learn it naturally
Right.
and you see it from your surroundings. So the Muslims have been passing down this Sunni tradition. It is nothing to do with these books. Now, now the common Sunni tradition, which is worldwide in these desert regions, yes, is the common tradition. Now there's different books, history books. I've spoken that the British and the French and the Europeans put them there. They're all forgeries because they say do different things and it's causing hatred, division, and it also and they claim that this Prophet Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl, which there is no evidence of whatsoever. The only evidence is that the Europeans put these things there. Yes. Well, anyway, so they wear this white clothes to make sure that everyone is the same, that even the prince, the king, the rich, everybody must stand together because in front of God, nobody is any different. So it's well known. Here is from Quora. Many people are asking who visited there from the West saying, hey, why do these Arabs and Sunnis, why are they all wearing white in general? Yes, sometimes green, but generally in white. But anyway, the Essenes, they wanted to get away from the world. Yes, that's what, and they wanted to live a simple life because to them, yes, what do you call it? The apocalypse and the end of the world was near. Yes. So now what we have been told by historians, which is a total forgery, yes, the Essenes vanished from history 2,000 years ago. They just disappeared. Same like ancient Rome disappeared, ancient Greece disappeared,
Hmm.
ancient Israel disappeared. Everything just disappeared. Ancient Egypt disappeared. You know, so the thing is, what do you call it? So now the Dead Sea Scrolls are even more of a forgery because they're telling us there's only a few thousand people. Yes, according to the calculations from when we get there, and we know that the desert Bedouins they don't read or write, and we've got many of these scrolls, and the thing is, how could they have written and wrote over there? There's no paper over there. That's another thing. You can't even make paper over there. So it doesn't make sense. And the thing is, they try to deny it, but the evidence shows John the Baptist, Jesus Christ, and all these prophets, they followed the system of the Essenes or the Essenes in Arabic, or the Sunnis, or they followed this so-called Sunnah. Essenes is plural, or it's Essene. Yes, or Asunna in Arabic. These people, yes, followed this so-called Sunnah. Yes, and the thing is, well, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they've added a lot of fiction and fantasy, but even from there, yes, because same like September the 11th, they've added fiction and fantasy, and the war in Iraq, the weapons of mass destruction and the lies they added on. But anyway, they mentioned that Jesus Christ, one of his brothers, they will say it's a biological brother, maybe it's just a brother in faith. He was the leader of the Jerusalem Essenes. So there was Essenes or Sunnis, everywhere. Yes, yeah, and what do you call it? Yes, and the thing is, when we look at some of these histories, what they're telling us James the Just, or James. Yes, he became the mega Bakir, or the Essene or Sunni name for bishop. Mega means Maha, or the great,
Hmm.
and Bakr or Baker in English, James Baker in American. Yes, what do you call it? The name of their leader. And the Muslims had this great leader known as Abu Bakr. I wonder who he really is. Yes, you know, I wonder who he really is. So, what do you call it? What we know is that the Essenes, yes, according to what they're telling us, yes, according to their interpretation, they prayed 3 times a day. Yes, and they prayed at night and in the morning, so that would make 5. Yes, and the thing is, when we look at this Muslim caliph or leader, the great leader, yes, he was called Abu Baker. Yes, Father Baker. Abu means father, and that was the name of James the Just. He was the father, the bishop, and he was called the Father Baker. And like James Baker or Thomas Baker. Yes. So now we've got Father Baker, and he was the leader of the Sunni or Sunni Muslims. There we go. So we just we find these things, that they're there. And what do you call it? What do we know about the Essenes or the Sunnis? It's exactly the same. I was surprised that the Essenes or the Sunnis were exactly the same. Like in Islam, there's 2 or 3 big sects: Sunni and Shia, and things like this. So the 3 biggest sects were the Pharisees, or the followers of Pharaoh; Sadducees, which included the elite. We're talking about Billy Gates and the boys. Yes, and these Essenes, what do we see? They don't have cash. They don't have property. Yes, of course, they probably had gold coins and things like this. And the thing is, they were like nomads moving around the desert. That sounds like the Sunni Arabs to me. There's no difference here. Yes.
Hmm.
And they were the people who said that we've got the knowledge and the truth. Yes. So now the thing is, and what they did is they gave up their property and all these things, basically homes, everything they gave up. They left Europe, they left Asia to go live in the deserts because they wanted to be, living like with God. Now, what is strange is that the Quran confirms this history. And we don't find this history in the Bible or in the Sanskrit scriptures or in anybody's scriptures or in the Pali scriptures or anything. We don't find it. That in the Quran it says that God has taken in exchange from the believers, from their lives, their properties, in exchange for the next life, for paradise. Now that's what the Essenes did, or that's what the Sunnis do. Or now the Sunnis are becoming something else, but the original Essenes or Sunnis did that. Yes, so they were the 3 main groups of Judah. Yes, we are going to examine who is Judah and original Judah, not the modern Judaism. Yes, the modern Judaism is something totally else. Yes, so the thing is, what do you call it? What we've got is the Pharisees, the Sadducees. Pharisees is clearly the people of Pharaoh, the priests. That's where the word paris comes from, or parish church, all these parish churches. Yes,
Hmm.
the Pope, it's the same people, the Pharaoh's people. Yes, so now let's look at the Essenes and go further. Yes, as a group, the Pharisees were distinct for being opposed to the political rulers of Israel. Yes, are distinct because they were opposed, they were fighting, whatever. Yes, are distinct, yes. And what do you call it? They were supposed to focus on ceremonial washing, like baptism, for a ceremony. And they were strict with, what do you call it, to the oral law or tradition of elders. Do you see the tradition? And their elders, it means that they had some form of law. Yes, and their beliefs included supernatural elements and things like this, which sounds like the Vatican. Yes, that they did have, the resurrection angels, but it sounds like the traditions of the elders. And the thing is, what do you call it? The Pharisees were the group who had the most power, and they demanded the arrest, trial, and the murder of Jesus Christ. Yes, this is something that's there in historical documents. Yes. Now, what do we know? What do we call it? Let's go back to the Essenes now to differentiate. Now, the Essenes were similar to the Zealots, and they thought of themselves as Israelite warriors. Yes, so they were not only from Judah. Yes, many of them were from the Israel side. There was two kingdoms, and they were warriors who were fighting, yes, on behalf of God. Many of them were, but many of them left. So now let's look at the Zealots. The Zealots were the fourth group. And what do we see? The Zealots were mentioned by Josephus as fighters against the Romans. Were they fighting the Romans, ancient Romans, or was it the Holy Romans during the Middle Ages? The Zealots. Now, Professor Anatoly Fomenko has pointed out that Israel was Eastern Europe and the Holy Romans were Judah. Yes, and the thing is that the Zealots were fighting. Yes, and the thing is they were significant in Palestine during the period of the Gospels. And there is Simon the Zealot, or Usman. Yes, Simon, or Simon. Yes, Usman, who founded the Ottoman Turkish Empire. And people found this very suspicious. Why was Simon one of the followers of Jesus Christ himself? Yes, and then the Gospels mysteriously failure to mention the Zealots or the Essenes, but they do mention the other Jewish parties, but they mysteriously have deleted the Essenes and the Zealots, almost like that they're not there. And then there is the Nazarenes. Yes, and in the Quran, the word Nasa is there to describe the Nazarenes. The word Christian is basically not mentioned in the Quran. Yes, it's a forgery and a lie that for the translations for the Nazara, who are supposed to be the friends of God. That's where the word, Ashkenazi come from. Yeah, Ashk means love. Yes, in Turkic languages, and then Nazi comes from Nazara, and there was the Nazis in Germany. In a modern Hebrew, in some dialects, Nazi also means leader, but Naza or Nazi in many Arabic dialects means friend. But Führer, the title actually comes from the word Pharaoh. Yes. So
Hmm.
so now what Josephus does, he almost like he doesn't like the Zealots, he calls them thieves. He turned around and calls them gangsters. Yes, almost like mafia. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, things like this. Yes, and the other thing is that the Zealots had a leader, according to him, Jesus Barabbas. So there was another person called Jesus, not just two. Yes, and on the day of the crucifixion, according to the histories that are there, and in some of the old Gospels, there is not one Jesus Christ on the day of the crucifixion. There's two. Do you know this? Yeah,
Indeed.
this is in my book, Jesus Christ. Yeah, if you haven't read it, then please don't put some pathetic comments because you've not bothered to look at some of these older documents. And there's some pathetic, dumb idiots who are saying David is showing Google screenshots. I'm showing the screenshots so that people know which link to press, so that they can open up which gospel, which chapter in the Quran, or which chapter in the Old Testament, which verse. Are you dumb or stupid? Yes, I'm going to have to speak like this about these idiots because they're trying to, deliberately give me a bad name. But the reason why I'm showing Google is so that people can have a look for these things themselves. So now the Zealots, what do you call it? Yes, mysteriously in the Holy Roman Empire. Yes, Professor Anatoly Fomenko mentions that there were schisms or divisions. Yes, and then what we can see is that Christianity, which was based in Egypt from the pharaohs, was spreading in different places throughout the Holy Roman Empire. Don't forget the Holy Roman Empire was Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Poland, Austria, Switzerland, Czech Republic, Hungary. It was basically Central Europe, Denmark. Yes, Holland, all these places. So the thing is, many of these places, yeah, in many of the cities, many of them, started imposing the system of the pharaoh, or what eventually became the Pope and the Vatican during the Middle Ages. Yes, so the Zealots disagreed with some of these so-called Roman laws or Holy Roman laws, especially taxation. Eh? They didn't want to pay tax. That's true with the Bogomils also with the Sunni Muslims until recently. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, they didn't want to recognize the emperor as God. And this is in my books, if you haven't read them, where the Pope was also declared himself as the representative of Christ. He said he was God. You know what I mean? Yes. And what do you call it? The Zealots, they worship the traditional God of Judah, and they viewed these Roman people as occupiers, not just Roman people. This is like an exaggeration, because what we can see is that even the fake history in the Roman Empire was divided. But now these zealots don't want to pay tax, and the Essenes don't want to pay tax. Let's have a look at taxation. Yes, what do you call it? Democracy. Yes, what do you call it? Why is it that in Muslim countries um, they don't vote in many places? They don't want to vote. Only a few of them are now changing. Only recently, in the last 20 years, even in Turkey, democracy has not even fully been implemented. Even 20 years ago, people didn't care. They're thinking, what is this now? Democracy over there, it's more like voting for a football team. And everyone's asking, why is there no democracy in the Islamic world? And then in some places there is, and what do you call it? Yes. What do we know is that, what do you call it? Yes. Um, a democracy, what does it do? It collects taxes. Yes. And you are voting for the people, that you're giving the right to them to collect taxes. Yes. And now what they're trying to teach us is fake history. They're telling us the Middle East was Christian, and they're teaching us bogus history. It's not even worth reading. Yeah. Unless if you believe the crappy history. First, they're telling us the Middle East was Essenes or Sunnis, and then it became Christian, and then it became Essene or Sunni Muslim again. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And they're telling us the Essenes disappeared. Yes. So now the thing is, what do you call it? What they turn on say is that the Middle East governments are corrupt. Yes, but what about our Western governments? Are they corrupt or not? And the thing is, they fail to govern the people. Why don't these Muslims obey their rulers? Why don't they want to do anything? Now, the thing is, another reason why they're bringing in digital taxation and everything, they need digital money. A major reason, yes, is to make sure everyone pays their money. Now, the thing is, in the Middle East, we have a serious problem. Yes, in these Muslim countries, the majority don't pay tax. What's going on here? They don't pay tax. But anyway, let me just pass this forward. Many people have noticed this. They're asking in the Qumran schools, the Hebrew word Nazi is a messianic leader. Yes, yes. So the word Nazi, yes, had the role of the Messiah. What's going on here? Ashkenazi, and in the Quran, Nazi Nazara means the friends of God. Yes, depending on which dictionary. I don't want to fight with people who are something. Yes, but anyway, yes. What we will see is the strange history of the Zealots. Yes, or Zuleta. Yes. What do you call it? Yes. Um, the Maccabees. Yes, were known as what do you call it? As the people who were the Zealots. Maccabi, or Mahaba. Yes, or the father of Mecca, or mega. The word mega in European languages came from that word. Yes, and then we have Maha or Muhammad. Yes, Muhammad was the leader of the Muslims, the Prophet Muhammad. Yes, yeah, Mahomet, Prophet Mahomet. Yes, so we've got something funny here. And then they're teaching us the fake history at the time of the Essenes and the Zealots. Yes, there was somebody from Judah. His name was Maccabi. Of course, here they put the Greek Maccabeus, like Julius or Augustus or Septimus, and what do you call it? And he freed the people from Seleucid rule. Yes, that's how they pronounced it. Yes, and they call the Zealots, what do you call it? Yes, they were known as the hammer or the military force. People, they were so strong and powerful that they changed it from Seleucid, however you want to pronounce it. Now, many people, they're not stupid anymore. People are saying, hey, the Seleucid or Seleucos Empire of the
Mm-hmm.
Seljuk Turks or Seljuk Turks, who are replaced. Yes. So the Seljuk Turks were replaced by the followers of Osman or the followers of the Sultan or Zeltan or Zelatan. Yes, they took over the Zealots, and they were known for the zeal for God. Yes, that everyone said they were crazy. They were daggers and things like this. So the thing is, in Arabic with the plural nun, in many cases, or with in Western European languages, you put the an on the end, Rome, and then Roman, plural. Yes, we have the Zelatan, or the followers of the Sultan. Yes, it's just repeating history. They're pretending these people disappeared 2,000 years ago. But these zealots, what they did is they said God is their only ruler and the master. They didn't accept the law of man, any leader, dictator, or even democratic ruler or anything. They were not afraid of death, and it meant nothing to them when their friends or family died. It meant nothing. They continued with their system. Now, this is exactly the same, like how we have the what do you call it, the followers of the Sultan, yes, all the way through to World War One, until the Western powers got rid of the Sultan in Istanbul. Yes, the Muslim zealots and all the Essenes and the Sunni Muslims, they have the same principle even to this day. And they're telling us they disappeared 2,000 years ago, which is just a lie. Yes. So now the other thing is these zealots or the Zalatan or Zulatan or Sultan, followers of the Sultan, they always carried knives or swords. This is a giveaway of who these people are. Yes. And what do we know about even today that they keep on Muslim flags and the Muslims are
Mm-hmm.
famous for it? What do they have?
Yeah.
Daggers
Mm-hmm.
and swords. Yes, that they're famous for this. So now the strange thing is, many people they're trying to figure out biblical history. Who was Simon or Sman, the Zealot or Zoleta or Salat? Simon the Zealot, yes, was they're saying we can't figure him out. He was one of the 12 main disciples of Jesus Christ. They don't know who he is. They can't figure it out. You understand? He was a zealot. So Christ, we know, is connected to the zealots and to the Essenes. Now, they're going to give us some bogus history, yes, from the word Macedonia or Masada, plural Macedonia, or what do you call it, Eden, the Garden of Eden. And they're going to say that the Essenes and the zealots were involved in the mass suicide. They committed mass suicide in Masada, what do you call it, 2,000 years ago or some garbage. And there's no archaeological evidence that Masada was there or they committed suicide or whatever. It's just a scam. Yes, when anybody turns around and talks about the zealot suicides, we all know, what do you call it, the Muslims are famous zealots in their religion. Yes, that they're connected to suicides. That's a fact. Yes, no matter how much people are going to deny it. I'm not talking about suicide for civilians. I'm talking about in war zones, the Muslims do suicide, and the Japanese did kamikaze suicide too. I mentioned about Japan and its relation to Islam in the past. But anyway, Masada clearly, comes from the name Macedonia and also from the name Masad in Iran. So now let's see who these zealots are. Yes, in these so-called Hebrew Aramaic, or what do you call it, Arabic, or Syriac, or what do you call it, so-called Middle Eastern languages. Yes, the word zealot, yes, is clear. It comes from the word salat. It's clear. Yes, and these people, yes, they fear only God. They don't fear anybody else, even according to Islam today. It matches the exact historical record that we've got, yes, from the Renaissance and Middle Age times, that there's these people in Islam who are salat people or zalat. Yes, yes, and in plural salawatan, or in plural zalatan, or their leader is the salatan, sultan. Yes, and these people, they don't follow anybody except their priest. So now the thing is, when we start have a looking at these so-called Ottoman rulers, or so-called people in Europe, yes, the thing is, what they're telling us is that, yeah, it comes from the word Suleta, same like Zuleta. Yes, it means that these people, yes, only had authority and power, what do you call it, and what do you call it, there's sultana, yes, zalatan, yes, and then you know, in Western terms, in our history, we now call them powerful rulers and things like this. But let's have a look at this. Their title is different from Malik. Yes, Malik means king, like Muslims use the word for God, or these people had the title Khan, or king, and these people were crowned, or they could only rule with the authority of God. And this is what we see, yes, for all the Germanic rulers in the Holy Roman Empire, that they were crowned with the authority of God. Now, by the permission of God, to rule only in the way of God, that they couldn't rule and make their own rules. Of course, they've falsified the history of this, and they're claiming that these people got crowned or ruled by the Pope or the Papa. This is just some utter garbage. Yes, because the Pope was fighting crusades against Germany. This is in my book, The Last Crusade. Nobody talks about these crusades in Europe, that people are imagining they were in the Middle East. Yes, and people fighting in the desert. At that time, it was a serious desert. It was like what Donald Trump would call, you know, a toilet hole or a shit hole. Yes, and this is also explained in my book, Jerusalem is in Europe, that there's no way these crusades happened over there. It's just a falsification of history. So who these zealots and their leaders were, and these so-called Khans, Turkish Khans or German Khans or kings, yes, is a totally serious question. Yes, a serious question. So now the thing is, let's have a look, because the thing is, you can't go off English. You've got to look at Latin, French, zealot, zelata, and then in the Polish language, that person pointed out, there's gold coins. Yes, in Central Europe, the Polish people, it survived in Polish history, because in other places they deleted it and now they've given a falsified history. But everyone knows throughout the Middle Ages, the coins of the zealots were all gold, or the followers of the Zalatan or the Sultan, they only had gold coins. Yes, they will call it Arabic coins. All these Arabic coins are in Europe, not in the Middle East. And they're going to call it a Polish gold coin. But what do you call it? The Zealots, or the followers of Salat, they're going to say no, they were Arabic Muslim coins. They were global coins. Now, if we go throughout Poland, yes, Poland, you know, and ex-Polish territory in Ukraine, because Poland has moved westward now. Yes, you know, Poland was more eastern, Polish, Lithuanian Commonwealth. Throughout there, we find all these gold coins for 1,000 years. Yes, and they've all got Arabic writing. They're going to tell you that they were Muslim coins. Yeah, the Polish were Muslims. It wasn't the Arabic, it's the local people. So now the Zealots, even from biblical history, we can find the Zealots didn't want to pay tax. They refused any fake coinage from Roman coinage, yes, and things like this. And they refused the rule of the rulers. This is the exact same history by throughout Europeans and the Cathars and the rest of them. All this history, I've explained it in my book, Jesus Christ. Now, if you've not read it, please don't put some stupid, pathetic comment and whatever, because you've not studied the Cathars or the Bogomils or what evidence is there from Renaissance, Middle Age documents. So the thing is, what we know about the Zealots is this. Yes, what they've told us is that the Zealots are the followers of Salat. They surprised the Roman garrison and occupied the fortress of Masada. Now, this is very suspicious. Yes, where is Masada? If Masada is so called in the deserts, it doesn't make sense. But if Masada is in Macedonia, yes, then what do we have is many people are going to turn around and say there is big Macedonian history, big Albanian history, and then big Serbian history in what do you call it, the Masada area, and everybody knows that Western European historians have done injustice to the history of the people in Eastern Europe and the Balkans. And we all have heard of the big battles of Masada or the Battle of Kosovo. Have you heard of the Battle of Kosovo, Polya?
I
You've not
believe
heard of
I
it?
have not as a historic idea, no?
This is going into another thing, so I'll have to go through it next time. Yes, and rightly, as Didier pointed out, that many maps show that the Turks were in Central Europe, Romania, and other places they were not in the current Turkey today. Yes, and among the Turks were amongst these people. And Flamenco points out that there was Europeans, even Russians, who came that marched down into the Balkans, and this is where we get the battle for Masada. Yes, and other things. It's just a history of Europe. They're lying and they're pretending it's in the middle of the deserts of the Levant or the Middle East. Yes, and the thing is, what do you call it? We see many sieges, many battles in Masada or Macedonia. Yes, like the Zealots or the followers of the Zalatan or Salat. Yes, Sultan Murad, yes, who came, and the word Murad is the French word called the Sultan who Murat and Mort, il est mort, yeah, en français, yeah, and mort in Arabic. Yes, that people were terrified of this leader of the Zealots, and his name is mysteriously to do with killing or death, and people were terrified of him. Yes, and this history, they falsified it and invented it, but it sounds like the Holy Roman Empire during the Crusades fighting against the Vatican when the Vatican seized Jerusalem. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, what we are told is this: amongst the first Jewish revolt coinage, yes, was issued by the Jews after the Zealots captured Jerusalem. And Jerusalem, the evidence shows, is what do you call it? Yes, Istanbul on the Bosphorus, as it says in many old Bibles and many Middle Age Renaissance documents. And when the followers of Salat or Salatan or Zelatan or Zealot, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, Salat, Zealots, whichever your language is, they issued another coinage. And this is what um, the Sultan did. He issued the coinage. Now, what we're going to find funny is what is the date of this when the Zealots issued the coinage? What date does it say, Raphael?
In 66 CE.
Sure. Now, what we are told, yes, is even before that, they say the first Islamic medieval gold coin was when?
In 77.
77 AH. Whoa. What do you call it? So the Zealots get their coin out in 66. And what do you call it? The Muslims get their gold coin out in 77.
Hmm.
Sure, I'm sure you can smell that one. They're not lying here. You can smell it. Yes? Am I sure? Are you beginning to see? You know, you can smell the garbage. Yes?
Yeah,
Can
well,
you
with
can you
any of
smell
these
it?
things that are dated so far back, it always seems like number magic, Because
Yes.
who can tell 2000 years ago, supposedly, is it 5 years more or less? You can make up any number you like.
Oh yeah, 55, 1066. William the Conqueror invaded England. And the other thing is 1688. William of Orange invades England. 88 or 66. Now, when it comes to Germany, many people don't realize that Germany was in principalities. Yes, it was divided. Now, the thing is, what many people don't know is that the Holy Roman Empire, this is just the central part, was divided into many princes and principalities. Yes, so that's why in different places, some of them followed the Vatican, yes, and the Pope, and the others did not. So, and this was a major problem within the Holy Roman Empire. So, let's move forward. Let's move forward. And the thing is, Essene, yes, what they don't tell you is that in Greek, in the Greek documents, yes, it's actually called Isawi or a Sunni, yes, that Isawi or Isa. It says Isa,
Hmm.
Isai, yes, Esau, yes, Esau, Esoi, Esau. So now it's only the Muslims who today say that the name of Jesus Christ is Esau or Esau, Esau. Yes, nobody else will say this. They've given him a fake name called Jesus Christ. This character never existed. Yes, it's based on Esau. Now, in the Greek documents, it says the Essenes, they Essan or Essene, um, you know, what do you call it, is in many other dialects, but they were the people of Esau. So this means the Sunni system or the Sunnah, what the Muslims call the example or the way of God, was here before the Quran, before Islam.
Hmm.
So this means the Sunnah or Sunni Islam has got nothing to do with the Hadith books, or these Hadith means history books of Islam today, that we can see from the evidence that these Sunni or Sunni people, that they had this Sunnah here even before the Quran. Yes, so any of these Muslims who are saying it's based on these other documents, they're lying. Yes, and it's up to you how you want to pronounce it. Some people will say, I'm inventing it Sunni or Esseni. Look at this. Here in this spelling, it's pronounced Essenoi. Can you see it? Depending on this Greek
Hmm.
dialect. So the thing is Sunni, Sunai, or whatever. Yes, it's according to your pronunciation. Yes. Um, yes, so it's according to your pronunciation. Ah, yes, before I couldn't find it. I'm going to show it again because I don't want people to say I'm one-sided. Here it is. It's ridiculous. You know, these people were kidnapped. People are holding posters. And the thing is, yes, you can't just be one-sided. Here is more. They're showing that Israelis have been kidnapped. Yes, and the thing is, it's wrong that they're not showing the other side. But we can't be one-sided. We've actually got to show that people from all sides have been kidnapped by these people in power. Yes, that what do you call
Right.
it? Here is once again, they're not showing it in our Western televisions. That what do you call it? Hamas is demanding the release of 6,000 people that have been kidnapped recently by the Israeli army. Two wrongs don't make a right. But why did the Israelis do this before? I mean, the Israeli people in power, not not the civilian Israelis. They've got nothing to do with it. The ordinary people don't know what's going on, and they don't want any of this to happen. Yes. So now, moving forward, let me just get to the next thing. And the next thing is, let me just see. Yes, so now we've got, last time I showed, where the Pope declares himself God in the 16th century, 17th century documents. There's similar documents from that time, 17th century, claiming that Palestine or Palestina is in the Middle East. Yes? And no, this is from the 18th century. 18th century. So many people are trying to say that the current Arab or Muslim people there are new because this is from the 18th century. It can't even be verified the exact dates. Yes, and they say it's from the 18th century, and they say that this document was published in Utrecht, you know, or Utrecht. I'm not sure how to pronounce this word. Yes, but what we can see is that Utrecht in the Netherlands, in Holland, was invaded by the Vatican in the 16th, 17th century. They burnt half the people died. 16th, 17th century, you know, inquisitions, you know, things like this. But anyway, what do you call it? Yes, inside that book, there's arguments, no concrete evidence. But what do they say? Yes, they turn on, in not just this book, what the British, they turn on and show this, that even in the 19th century, what do we see? Here, this is documents from the 19th century. What do you call it? Yes, the British did a survey in 1840s. Yes, and Jerusalem, what is Quds, 1865, Sinai, 1868. They sent their spies. Western Palestine, 1871. British Army spies, they call them engineers, went there, and many other things. So they surveyed the region. Yes, and what we can see is that you can read where it says argued. I've highlighted it. What can you see? Missionary from Beirut. They were looking for these places mentioned in the Bible. What does he say?
He said it preserved cognates to
He
the
argued.
ancient. He
Argued.
argued.
Argued means he's claiming, saying, believe
Mhm.
me, trust me, yo, guys, I'm telling you the truth. This is the truth, man. You got to believe me. What is he saying? The Arabic place names?
Preserved cognates to the ancient Semitic biblical names.
Yeah. He's saying, what do you call it? Hidden in there, these places are actually biblical places. Sure. Quds doesn't sound anything like Jerusalem. So now here is more from these so-called Western societies. What do you call it? Yes. And what do they say? Yes, they've renamed the places. Like, for example, um, they could not even identify it, but they said Lashish in the Bible is Tel Ed Dwyer. Dwyer sounds like Lashish according to them.
Mm.
Things like this, you see. So the thing is, what do you call it? Yes, they just invented these name places. They couldn't even find them and things like this. Now I will show you an example. You know, the desert. I'm going to show you something, and let's see if you can guess. How old is this place? Guess.
Well, my first thought is it could be old, but could also be recent and just kind of destroyed. So
Yeah, they're telling us these places are 1,000 years old, thousands of years old. Yes, and this could be Sumeria or ancient Babylon. No, guys, it's in Morocco in the last 50 to 70 years. And that what they did is they found all these places in Palestine at the time. It looked like this because I'm showing you an example of similar villages. Yes, this is in Morocco. Yes, and the thing is, these places, what they did is they just gave them artificial Western names. And the thing is, many of these settlements, yes, especially when the colonial people came, they forced people to work in these mining things. Like here is a mining building, you know, in the last 60, 70 years. And then when the buildings collapsed, can you see the poles there? Yes, many of these things, they reconstructed them and they called them ancient sites. You know, like Petra, this Dan Gibson, and this Sam Gerans, yes, and these other things. And let me show you remains of some of these mining sites in Morocco. Oh no, this is an ancient Greek. In another 50 years, they're going to say
Mm.
these are the walls or the entrance to a Greek temple or the ancient ruins of Troy or something. Now, let me just show you more. Here is Tunisia. What we can see from these mining settlements in the last 100 years, they're going to be telling you that these are thousands of years old. Yes, and some of these mining settlements, yes, because they're built into the hills, because the workers live in these places. Can you see it? This is a place called Awuli. Awuli. Yes, we don't know what they're going to say when this place is in ruins. Many of these places are becoming abandoned. So they found these mining settlements, and when they're abandoned, they're going to give you some strange history. Yes, here is Tazart. Yes, in Africa near the Sahara region. Now here is Burkat Al Muz. One day they're going to say this is, ancient Antarcticans came here or something. So what they've done is, they're going to say Assyria, Nineveh, Babylonia, Sumeria. That's what they've done. Here are more abandoned places. You could just give these some fake names one day. Yes, and they're going to say here is the Tower of Babylon. It's in Gulmim, it's called Zawra Kabira, and just redecorated. They're going to say this was the local version of Babylon. But
Hmm.
now I'm going to shock you about that lady, yeah, who's my friend, and many people, they're asking, hey, he's trying to sell his books. David's promoting his books and selling them. Yeah, some Muslim people commented and said that, or Islamists. I don't want to say Muslim because I don't want to offend the entire group. So I'm going to call them Islamists because they sound crazy. And to me, they're evil. They're nothing but evil. Because the thing is, what do you call it? Yes. Um, the thing is, what do you call it? I gave money, from my book sales and other things. Here is one of the people in their religion to this lady. I'm sending it again. Her name is Judah. Yeah, Heba Judah. Yeah, I've shown the evidence. Yeah, what do they want me to do? Show my bank account things? Yeah, go to hell. I'm being nice saying go to hell. You know, really, they know how I'm actually speaking to them. Yes, the swear words. Yeah, basically, I don't care. But anyway, now let's go to the real deal of the Essenes or the Sunnis, because somebody's going to say, David, the evidence is flimsy. It's not enough. Danny DeVito in Jewel of the Nile, or no, in Johnny Dangerously. It's flimsy. It's not enough. And Johnny Dangerously says, "I got this evidence. I got that. Murders, guns, bullets. They're blowing people up. It's flimsy. It's not enough." Yeah, the Essenes are the Sunni Muslims. So now let's have a look at. So the name Judah in Arabic, yes, yeah, it's an Arabic surname. Yeah, that's in Palestine, in Jordan, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Saudi Arabia. It's throughout the entire region. Basically, up to 1/4 of the people in the entire region that surrounds Israel and these Palestinians and people in Gaza are related to the family of Judah. They're from this family. Up to 1/4. Some of them are Christians, but the majority are Muslims. So you're going to say, how did they become Christian? They couldn't have been Christian for long because we know the Bible was only compiled and finished in the 18th century. Yeah. For that information, you'll have to read Professor Flamenco's books or my books. Yeah. And people are going to say, I promote my books and I've sold them. Yeah. I sent my cash to refugees and people. If you don't like it, you know what I mean. Yeah. You know what I mean? Don't worry.
Every
That's one
author
thing.
charges for their books, and if people think they
Uh,
can research
but
it
uh, but
better
um,
or with
the, but
less expenditure, they can
especially
do it themselves. It's easy.
some of these Muslims who commented, it was from your people. Don't worry, I don't have to send it to that Muslim family because they're dead now. The people in power in Israel, they solved your problem. They helped you so that I don't have to send it to them because you've been evil talking. I'm now giving a reply. Yes. What do you think I'd do? What did you think I was going to do? Sit there like a muppet, like on the Muppet Show? So now, in case somebody's going to say I'm making this up, yes, go to Saudi Arabia. Yes, what do you call it? Yeah, is the Judah is the most common surname in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, we're talking about here, guys. And they're from the tribe or the people of Judah. And they're Muslims. They're Sunnis. Yeah, or Essenes. The Essenes were from the tribe of Judah. They lived in Judea. Now, there's three Judahs, by the way, that Flamenco points out. Judah, the Holy Roman Empire in the west, and then there is Judah, which is the Eastern Byzantium Empire in Jerusalem, which is Istanbul. Then there is from the tribe of Judah who went to the deserts. Do you see
Mm-hmm.
that these people came from Europe and Eastern Europe, and they went to live in the deserts? Do you
Mm-hmm.
see why they're called Judah? Yes. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I keep saying yes because I don't know if you can hear me because of the
Yes,
connection.
yes.
Because there's some other idiot who are saying he keeps saying yeah, yeah. It's because I don't know if you can hear me. I said, do you get it or what do you call it? Because I don't know if you can hear me. That's the reason. But these dummies, yeah, have no idea why I'm saying it. So the thing is, um, when the British and the Europeans went there, and other things, many of these people were already found to be in honourable positions, and many of these things. So the Judah family, they also hold the keys to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre or Sepulchre. Some people will say it's been there for hundreds of years. Pilgrims, garbage. It was built in the 19th century, and they're claiming there were other buildings there. But the family with the keys there, their name is also Judah. Yes. So now let's see. The Essenes is also known that not only were they in the Roman Empire or Holy Rome, that they were in the Eastern Mediterranean, which is also the region, yes, Eastern Mediterranean of the Byzantine Empire. Eastern Mediterranean are all Sunni today. Egypt is Sunni. Turkey is Sunni. Lebanon is Sunni. There is Alawites and there's Alevis and other things there. Jordan is Sunni. Eastern Mediterranean Palestinians are Sunni. Egypt is Sunni or Essenes. Yes, the Mediterranean. Yes, Tunisia is Sunni. Morocco is Sunni. Essenes. Did the Essenes really disappear? They're still here. These people are lying. Has Judah disappeared? No. The family's still there. The people are there. Of course, the New World Order, it's another 100 years you'll see war in the Middle East until these people are dead or this history is dead. Yes, now you're seeing what this war really is about in Palestine, Gaza, Syria, Iraq. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes. So they're claiming that the Dead Sea Scrolls, people will have to separate the Dead Sea Scrolls from Josephus, Pliny, and from Philo because these things are more political. Yes, that it's more to do with politics of saying that the Essenes died out 2,000 years ago, and everybody knows that what do you call it? There was the political controversy, and the Vatican was in charge of many of the scrolls and Father Devoe. If many people read the book Dead Sea Scrolls Deception that came out 20 years ago talking about it more than that. Yes. So the thing is, everybody knows that there's something strange going on. So now let's go to what Professor Fomenko showed, specifically to do with the kingdom of Judah or Judea, that he showed the parallel that of the so-called ancient kingdom of Judah was exactly the same as the Holy Roman Empire. So this is one Judah that we can see. Yes, and then he also showed that this history of Judah in the Bible is exactly the same as the Byzantine Empire or the Roman Empire in the East, where the Sunnis are. Yes, and then the third Judah we can see is Judah in Arabia. In Arabia, in Palestine, this Judah family. Same like that. There's three English: the English in North America, the English in Australia, the English in Europe, England. Yes. So there's three separate English. Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
um, that's what we can see. So and then what they're going to turn around and tell us is that during the Middle Ages and other times that there were so-called Jews in Europe. Like for example, there was Moses, Ben, is an Arabic word or Hebrew, the son of Muslim. Yes, in modern Hebrew, you have the letter H. Without the letter H, we've got Moses, the son of Muslim. Yes, who was in ancient Rome, but they're going to say he was Jewish. Yes, for modern Jewish history. Yeah, then there was Muslim the Great. Yes, or the Great Muslim in what do you call it? Yes, in the Roman Empire times or Byzantine times. This history doesn't make sense. It sounds like it's the history of the Muslims and of the Muslims and the Essenes of the Sunnis, and what do you call it? They've just removed it. And what do we know about these Sunni Muslims and the Essenes? Yes, what we find funny is that Saint Jerome said, what do you call it? They were men who didn't eat meat or certain meats. They didn't drink. They don't drink. The Sunni Muslims don't drink. They basically fasted for many, many days, but he says here every day. Other historical sources show that it's, they fasted a lot, regularly, not like modern Jewish people do, like, one fast here and there, like in certain times of the year. Yes, the Muslims fast every day during Ramadan, and some of them fast for the entire month before Ramadan, which makes it 60 days, which makes it looks like they're fasting every day. These Essenes clearly are the Sunni Muslims who are still here today. It's a lie that they've disappeared. Now let's go through the details from Philo and from Pliny or Pliny and from Josephus. What do we find about these Essenes who are in the desert? Not a single slave is to be found amongst them. Every single person is free. They denounce slavery. Yes, and they just pray to God, and no, they don't offer sacrifices of animals. The Sunni Muslims don't do that either. They only kill an animal to eat or to give it to charity to feed the poor. This is what they do. Yes, and um, that's what we find about them. Let me just send more information. Many people can check through this. The Essenes, what do you call it, were known uh, like pacifists in the deserts, and what do you call it? You couldn't find weapons amongst the Essenes who were supposedly in the desert, and that's what we find in what do you call it? These Bedouins. Yes, that the
Hmm.
Europeans found a similar thing. When they went there, these people were like, they didn't have homes. They moved around like Bedouins, and they had temporary homes that they built. Oh, mysteriously, they're going to say this is ancient Assyria, ancient Semite, Sumeria, and things like this. By the way, the word Semites in the earlier 20th century referred to this tribe of Judah, the Arabs. But today, if you're anti-Semitic, it means you're anti-Jewish. No, it was anti amongst them. They've changed the meaning. So you couldn't find, they were known as peacemakers or followers of Salam. Yes, and what they used to do is pray for people. They didn't take up arms, so it was easy to occupy these regions. Yes, and what else do we find about the Essenes, which matches the Sunnis 100 years ago? They don't have collections of gold, silver, property, anything. They only had the necessary requirements of life, like these Bedouin Muslims today. Yes, they're basically landless. They
Hmm.
move around. They don't have any borders or anything, and things like this. They don't have earthly possessions. Yes. So the thing is, what do you call it? They followed the system of the prophets. Yes, yeah, that's what the word Sunnah means, or Sunni or Esseni, that they followed what do you call it, the original way, and they taught the next generation justice, holiness, and what do you call it, piety, and the knowledge of God, and they passed it down orally. Yes, like how the Muslims memorize the Quran and they pass it down, and things like this, and their freedom for love, and they stayed away from money, and this is what we see in the Sunni Muslims today. Yes, and now it's very important to note this, that the modern Jewish people, they pray in the evening on a Friday to start the Shabbat or the Sabbath, whereas the Sunni Muslims, for them the Sabbath, what we will call it, is in the afternoon. It's a different by a few hours, and they call it the Salat or zealots, or the system of the zealots. Now, what do you call it? Yes, what we will find is that the Essenes and the Sunnis are basically exactly the same. People will have to pause the videos and read these things. Jesus taught his followers not to swear oaths. You know, the Essenes and the Sunnis basically don't do these things, and etc. And the Sunnis and the Essenes, they say our body is going to decay and we shall live eternally in the kingdom of God, things like this. And Josephus writes these, it's the exact same teaching as the Sunnis.
Hmm.
Yes? What do you call it? Yes. And then what do you call it? Here we see that the Essenes disappeared 2,000 years ago, and these people, they believed in heaven and things like this, but around only in the 19th century. Yes, they turned around and said the Essenes didn't exist. We can't even find them. You know, basically they lived 2,000 years ago when they were trying to decide who were these people. When did they when did they live? You understand? And the thing is, uh, now they're suggesting that Christianity started from Essenes. We know that they were the followers of Isa. They followed the example of Isa or the Sunni or the Sunnah. That this has got nothing to do with modern Islam. The original Sunnah was the way of God, and it's been there for centuries. That the Quran actually says this, but many Muslims ignore this. Yes, and Christianity, yes, it was clearly from this. But another thing that we see, they're showing us this, that the Essenes lived in these settlements and these so-called fake monasteries in Qumran. It just looks like you can forge this or build this, and they're saying this is on the Masada hill of what do you call it, in Israel today, and they're saying the Essenes lived in these mountains and blah blah blah. Just some fake history saying that they were Jews 2,000 years ago. Sure, you can't even grow food there. There's no food there. There's nothing. They lived inside these caves. It's a forgery, some mining site, and then they've redecorated it. Yes, you know, and they're telling us the Essenes lived here. How long are they going to be living here if there's no food there for them to survive? Yes, you know,
Right.
it's just some type of fiction or something, you know, that's just a total garbage. Yeah. And when it comes to Josephus, we know that even his work has been tampered with, that there's no documents or anything, no manuscripts of Josephus. We can't find that he ever existed. That, what do you call it? They're claiming that the copies of Josephus are only from the 12th century, but they've been rewritten in Latin translations. Yes, that the Latin translations only turn up in the 16th century, and then there's the fake 100 years. And yes, Didier Lacapelle is correct. It's up to about 200 years that I've said that. You know that Flamenco says the Quran printing 15th century, and I've said from what I can see from the oral transmission, yes, there's a 200-year error. Yes, 100 years from Napoleon and another 100 years, sometime during and after the Renaissance. I can't figure this out. Didier seems like an expert on this, that he shows that there's 200-year errors of these things. So these Josephus documents from the 15th century are more like the 17th century. Yes, and the thing is, it's so suspicious Christ was crucified 33 AD. And what do you call it? The Josephus manuscripts, what we have from his manuscripts that are preserved, that they claim are from the Middle Ages. There's only how many copies of these manuscripts or parts of these manuscripts?
133, I see. Uh-huh.
Yeah, 33 again, you know, it's just garbage. Yes, and in the same way that many Christians say, hey, the Muslims don't have any of these original Qurans. They can't find many of them in the Middle East. There's hardly any, two, three, or four, but there's hundreds of them throughout Europe, America, and Canada, you know, in Germany, in France, in England, in Ireland, in Dublin, we find many Qurans, but we can't find them in the Middle East, these old Qurans. Yes, but for the New Testament, how many copies of these New Testaments can we find?
Oh, of course, 19,000.
Yeah, sure. Yes. So, you know, these people, it's just garbage. So now,
And just
what is
since
the
you're
most?
mentioning this, anyone can look up the population figures for so-called Palestine right now, and it's really strange because both for Gaza Strip and West Bank, they say it's estimates
What
from last
1.9
year.
million?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
it's the estimate, and it's an estimate, but it's just below 2 million, so they can put 1.9 in front.
Well, they are officially
It
saying it's
really
1.9
looks
million.
strange. Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
this
But
1.9
just because
million.
the figure is so high, it's really almost 2 million. It's officially an estimate, and still they want to make sure it's
They
1.9
won't
and
say
not 2
2 million.
million.
They
Yeah,
won't say it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because this number 19, yes, means something. So now let's have a look at this map. The Sunni Muslims, yes, or the Essenes or the Sunni Muslims, the majority live in desert regions. If you exclude Indonesia and those parts, Kazakhstan is a desert, Afghanistan is a desert, Tajikistan is a desert, Kyrgyzstan is a desert, yeah, Turkmenistan is a desert, Pakistan is a desert, Syria is a desert, Kuwait is a desert, Jordan is a desert. Palestine, Israel is a desert. Saudi Arabia is a desert. I can go on list after list. These Essene or Sunni Muslims, mysteriously, they live in the deserts. Now, Fomenko, he pointed out that that the Goths or the Jots, they migrated west, the Jots and Goth. Are you seeing the connection now?
Mm-hmm. All right.
That the tribe of Jots or Jutland, yes, or what do you call it? Yes, many Iranian tribes, Afghan tribes called Jat, yes, even in Sikh tribes called Jat, you will notice these similarities. Yes, that the warlike Jots, that the Goths were Germanic people, warlike tribes. Yes, and what do you call it? Fomenko points out the duplicates of the Goths and the Germans, or the so-called Judah and the German coronations, these duplicates. Yes, are you beginning to see they've just invented the history?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and what do you call it? In the Roman armies, yes, that the Goths or Jot or Judah, that they were like large. They were warlike people, the warlike Judah. Yes, that these people were fighters and they were in the Roman armies. You see? Yes. At the Gothic Empire in the Mediterranean after the collapse, it mysteriously was the Roman Empire, then it became the Empire of Joth or Juta. You see? Yes. And then the thing is, yes, many of these people were known as Vandals. Yes, but mysteriously that they're called Wandal or Wandalusia, and they're Muslims as
Mm-hmm.
well. But they were Goths, they were Germanic people, and they're saying it was an Arab invasion, or were they the Germanic Spanish people anyway? Now, let me just show you. It's strange in America. The Americans are strange people. Yeah, they have protests for many years. Refugees let them in. The British and the Australians and the French and the Dutch. They're strange people that they protest saying, let all these refugees in. Refugees are welcome you know um, what we find is that the Israeli administration, not the Jewish people, yes, they bomb refugees. That's a refugee camp getting bombed there. Can you see it? Well, in
Mm-hmm.
Europe and America, we welcome refugees, but in Israel, because of the people in power, they bomb refugee camps. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. That's why I keep saying yeah, and I repeat sometimes because I don't know if you can hear me. Refugees, welcome. Stop racism. But what we can see is the Israeli military. They beat up refugees. Yes, what do you call it? Yes, they shoot them, they kill them. That's another thing. What do you call it? Yes. What we see is, in Europe there and America, they're saying let refugees in. Here is refugee women and things like this. They're beating them up. It just doesn't make sense. I don't. And then we've got these evangelical Christians and many other people who are trying to understand the conflict. Here is, I think it's in Europe and America. What do you call it? Yes. Let refugees in. Yes. And yeah, the thing is, in Israel, the military, yes, in the occupied territories, women are getting raped, yes, by the people in power. This is not the Israeli Jewish people. And the same thing is, what do you call it, when Hamas does kidnappings. So the thing is, what do you call it? This is to do with the Judah family. So I will show it in a minute. What do you call it? 1,000 people, 4,400 people have died on the Israeli side. This should not be ignored. This is very important. Yes, mainly civilians. What do you call it? After the Hamas onslaught. So this is not a joke. So this is not the Palestinians doing it. This is the people in power. I mean, these Hamas James Bond type of guys. We don't know who the hell they are. Yes, and they couldn't have done parachute training in Gaza, or otherwise Israel would have noticed.
Yeah,
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 it's
that's a
only
pretty
one city.
obvious
You
idea. Yeah.
Gaza is only the size of Vienna, not half the size of Vienna, I would say, or the size of Vienna land-wise. If you're jumping around in parachutes,
Yeah,
I'm
you
sure they
also
would
you
have
cannot do it
noticed.
in the city, and then if you do it in the
Yeah,
open desert, it's easy to see. So yeah.
yeah. So now it's terrible. Yes, these Hamas CIA operatives. Yeah, it looks like to me have killed 1,400 people. And what's even worse is what do you call it? Since 1948, what do you call it? 50,000 Palestinians have been murdered, killed by what do you call it? The Israeli forces, the Israeli military. What the hell is going on here? This is not a joke. Yeah, and the thing is, in Europe, we have refugee camps. They're welcome here. What do you call it in Gaza? They're bombing refugee camps. This is not a terrorist government. No, they bomb refugees. In Europe, they welcome refugees. Yeah, there is something that's wrong here. Yes. Yeah. So the thing is, I don't support either side. And then the thing is, we cannot ignore what do you call it? Hamas has kidnapped these civilians. Look at their faces in the posters. This is wrong. Yes. And then these Hamas military men. Let's have a look at Israel. They broke into houses. They're doing it every week since 1948. Since then, breaking into houses, kidnapping people at daytime and nighttime. What the fuck is this? Oh no, they're doing it in the name of democracy. They democratically kidnap people, and Hamas have done a similar thing. They kidnapped 200 people. They killed 1,400 people. Here are people on the Israeli side that are terrified. They broke into houses. Two wrongs don't make a right. And these Hamas people, who the hell trained these people? These James Bond type of guys. Yeah, this is really suspicious. So now the thing is, the Essenes were living in the desert, dressed in white. They led a simple life. Yes? And the thing is, we see Sunni Muslims who look like this. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, many people are going to say, we don't like it. But now, the same people who are reading the Bible, Christians and Jews, yes, are telling us that these were the Essenes and the people who were Judah living in the desert. They dress like this. I don't see these people who are coming there from Europe and America who go to live in Israel. They don't look like these people.
Yeah,
The people
definitely have a different dress code.
The Palestinians look like these people. By the way, we're shown pictures. We go to church. I've been to many churches. I was brainwashed to go to church, actually. And when I say brainwashed to go to church, I went to many churches because I wanted to go. I wanted to learn. I wanted to see. And the thing is, those are the Essenes and the people of Judah. They look like these Palestinians to me, man. They don't look like anybody else, and they're trying to tell us that it's these European Jews or somebody else who have started to wear white garments on festivals now recently. They don't look like the people described in the Bible to me. Do they look like that to you? But then that doesn't mean I'm against them. I don't like how the military is dealing with these people, even in Israel. Yeah, if you want to cover up the face, he's got blood on. But the thing is, I've seen that the military beat these people up too. Yes. And the thing is, yes, during festivals, many of these people dress in white. Where did they get this idea from? Yes. Can you hear me? That's why I
Mm-hmm.
keep saying yes,
Yeah,
Raphael.
yeah. I'm not just not replying all the time because then I'd be interrupting too much. So you can continue.
Yeah. So the thing is, um, what we can see is that Judah is already in the Middle East. Yes, and the history of the Holy Roman Empire doesn't make sense. Now, out in the field, we've got photographs that many Nazis were allegedly Christian, and yes, and the thing is, this is in the forest, but this is far away from main Germany. Yeah, and what we can see is that there was many Germans who were Christians also by that time, by 1945. Now we have to remember the Vatican invasion of Europe and the German principalities and many princes who joined the Nazis. And also, when we look at many graves in Europe that were made in World War II, many people seem to think that they were Christian. No, what people did was put a stake there to mark the grave and like a cross so that it doesn't collapse, so that people knew that they were Christians. Now something crazy was happening throughout Europe during the Second World War, First World War. There is no evidence that the First World War actually ended in 1918 for many parts of Europe. It still continued. It was like a 200-year war that was ongoing, something that happened after 1800. Now, you won't understand this fully unless if you read my book, Napoleon did not exist. Yes, to show that there's something wrong with the entire history of the 19th century. Now, back to what crazy things that were going on. Like we see that in Eastern Europe, something was going on. That was the massacre of civilians that we don't fully understand what was going on. Historians have given, conflicting stories that are many of the stories that don't make sense. And it wasn't just during the Second World War; it was during the interwar period between the First and the Second World War throughout the 19th century. This story is in my book, Orphan Trains. Yes, and
Right.
it is in the book of Orphan Trains. Yes, let me just show something else. Now back to the so-called Dead Sea Scrolls. What do you call it? What we are told, and about Masada. Yeah, they've told us that this is Masada, where the Essenes lived, and on the mountaintop. Can you see it?
Right.
Yeah. Here is the mountain again, and they're telling us they lived here, and things like this. And but as we can see that they only discovered it in 19 and they say in the 19th century, but realistically it was found in 1953, and excavations were done there, and they say it was constructed, what do you call it, by King Herod the Great and things like this, and that it was a fortress or something. But when we have a look at the close pictures, everything basically looks new. There's nothing old about this place, and you can tell it's a forgery. They're showing these are windows, houses, and people lived here, and things like this. And many of the rocks and the cement look like there's no wear and tear for centuries, as if it's new. So now let's go back to the Zealots. Yes, the Zealots. Yeah, we noticed that and the word Salat in modern Islam, they're both basically the same. The followers of Salat, the people who pray, that they've got zeal. Zeal means heat, zealous or jealous comes from this. Now let's have a look at this. The word sol, what do you call it, means light as well as the sun. Yes, that's one. And like a fire,
Mm-hmm.
like the zeal, it doesn't mean just the sun. Now, when we look at Latin languages, salute means when you salute somebody. Yes, and I went through this before. Um, that in Islam it means contacting God, and God is the light. So the word salute, short, comes from the word sol. Yes, or sol comes from the word salute. So sol means light, even in Swedish, in Danish, in Norwegian, Germanic languages. Also, it's entered there. Yes. And now the strange thing is, in many rabbis also say this, but the Quran makes it clear. Yes, it tells you that God, he's not light, but the Muslims, they say that God is the light of the heavens and the earth, and it gives an example of his light. Yes. So the word sal, sol, and salat. Yes, and zealots. So now um, what we're told in history is the Mongol invasion of Europe. Many people don't study this, but it was so big they invaded half of Europe, half, and they took it over, and they were like crazy. But many documents from the Middle Ages actually say that these Mongols were what do you call it? Were Khazars. Yes, or they were the descendants of the lost 10 tribes of Israel. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, so they invaded and took over Eastern Europe, basically the Slav lands, Hungary, East Germany, things like this, and parts of northern Italy. Yes, so what do you call it? Yes, the Mongol invasion of Europe. Yeah, they took over Russia, everything. So now many people try to define the Khazars, and then we've got the strange city of Kazan in Russia, which mysteriously is Muslim. And then they say the Khazars, they had they were Khans or the Khanate or the king, and they were Turkish or Finnish or Slavic tribes during the Middle Ages. Yes, they can't make their minds up. Yeah, the thing is, but basically it's Eastern Europe. Yes, so these Mongols or Khazars are Eastern Europe. Yeah, same like when you say English, we can't make our mind up. Are they Canadians? Are they United States? Are they New Zealand? Are they Australia? Are they England? Yes. So what do you call it? Yes. So the Khazars are a very important thing. Yes, but now when we look at a picture of the Mongols, these are the Mongols. We can't find any Mongols in Poland. Can you see these pictures?
Mm-hmm.
We can't find these people in Ukraine. We can't find these people in Hungary. We cannot find these people in East Germany. We cannot find them in Bulgaria. We cannot find it the Mongol invasion of Iraq. We can't find them in Iraq. We cannot find them in the Crimea. We cannot find them in Finland. We cannot find them in Russia. We cannot find them in Belarus. It's a total joke. Anybody who believes this story, it's just a total joke. Now, another thing is the English word, and in many Germanic dialects, yes, the word for light is the sun. Yes, the light of God, the people who follow the light or the way of God, yeah, would naturally be, yes, a Sunni, or they follow the Sunnah in the Quran. Yes, or Essene. So now let's have a look at, you know, West German dialects, you know, the West, which was called Judah, which Fomenko has shown. What is the Old English word and the West Germanic word for the light or the sun? What is it?
I'm not sure what you could be referring to.
I've sent you the page. You can't
Oh,
see it?
all right, right. Well, in German even now it's Sonne, Sonne, even now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And in
it
Middle
was
English
more.
also says Sonne. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but in West Germanic, in the West Germanic places, it was Sunnah, exactly the same. How the Muslims of the Quran pronounce it today. Muslims of Islam, I mean. Yes, so they call it the concept of Sunnah, the light of God, the way of God, the way of goodness. Now these Sunnah or these Sunnis or Essenes, they disappeared 2,000 years ago, or are they still here? Do you see? And this
Mm-hmm.
shows you that the Arabic language was in Europe, the language of the Arabic Quran, because it's still there. It's still here. We find it in the words. They're exactly the same. Sunnah, Sunnah, and today pronounced Sunni or Sunni or Sonne or the sun. Can you see?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And Philo of Alexandria, yes, he said that these Essenes, yes, or Sunnah, what do you call it? Yes, many people called it Isai, yes, and he admits it's from the Greek pronunciation of the word Isawi or Isa. So now let's have a look. We will always go online in evangelical websites. Here are the Essenes, and here they are praying. They don't look like they don't look like anything to do with modern Judaism or modern Christianity. Who do these people look like, Raphael?
Well, more like Bedouins.
But what religion do they look like?
Well, from going on from common stereotypes, definitely more Islamic than Christian.
Not just a stereotype. Here is a clear picture. It's so clear the way they're covering their hands with the prayer mats. These prayer mats were seen throughout medieval Europe, by the way. Do you know this?
Hmm.
Throughout medieval Europe, these prayer mats were everywhere. Yes, and the thing is, they had what we call
Well, is
Arabic
that
designs.
what they now call Persian carpets? At least that's
Oh
how
yeah,
they popularized in Europe, but they are everywhere, yeah. I mean, or
yeah.
very, it's a important item, let's say, yeah. Hmm.
In the Middle Ages, they were everywhere actually at that time. So the thing is, there were prayer mats, and the thing is, if anybody is trying to say that these Bedouins are not the Essenes or the Sunnis or the Sun or the followers of the light, they're lying. Even in the Germanic languages, it's clear. And then these people left from the city areas to go to the deserts. They came, they came from Europe, the Mediterranean, Eastern Mediterranean, and from Europe. Yes, and they went south and they took the original system with them, and they still have it. Yes, it's called the Sunnah, same like in the Germanic languages, the Sunnah or the light. Yes, yeah, and what do you call it? What we know about what Pliny says, these people live apart from the world. Yes. And it says they have no women amongst themselves because he doesn't, he says that they didn't want, what do you call it, sexual pleasure. But the thing is, it's a bit clear that he's mistaken because the Muslims pray, only the men pray together in one side. Yes. And the concept of the Sunnah, actually, it's written in the Quran. Yes, when we see the Quran, it specifically says, this is the tradition of God, which existed before, and you will never find any change in his tradition or his system. Yes? So this means that the Sunnah or the Essene or the essence, the original way of God or the original light of God, was here before this Prophet Muhammad and this before this Quran. Yes? So it's nothing to do with the Muslim history, and this system is still here. So any of these Muslims who are claiming, hey, what do you call it? That you need these books that are in Cairo. Yes, that the evidence shows that the British put there, they burnt, and they drowned the rest. They got rid of the rest. Yeah, there is no evidence for this. This tradition has been there for centuries, and I'll just. It is a well-known fact that many of um, um, the majority of the people in the Middle East couldn't read or write 100 years ago. So it means that the Hadith books got nothing, Islamic history books have got nothing to do with them, and they were fabricated by the Jesuits. Now, the word Sunnah, or the light, or the way of God, appears several times in the Quran, and there is no mention of any messenger or prophet to do with it. It just says it's the way of God, or in Germanic languages, the translation would be the light of God. Yes? And these people are Bedouins and things like this. They were forced to live in cities by the fake borders, by the colonialists, and by the borders, like Israel's doing a great job. Putting them in borders, forcing them to live in certain places, but that's not the way of their system. Yes, and then everybody's turning around saying, "Yeah, these people are so poor." That's because they got away from the world. Their purpose was to get away from the world. Yes, and what do we find about the Essenes? Let's have a look at what Pliny, Philo, and Josephus say before the 20th century. Yes, Nobody is rich, nobody is poor. People don't have more than another. It is a law amongst them that what do you call it? Everybody is common, everybody shares. You don't see poor or excessive of riches. What we call poor in Europe, yes, for them, it's because they want it to be like this. But now westernization is getting to the Middle East. So the new generation are changing. You understand? Yes, it's
Yeah.
like there is one patrimony amongst all the people. They're like one people. Yes, that's why they call themselves one ummah or one system. Yes, and let's see what Josephus and what Philo and Pliny they all agree with. Yes, and they said they reject pleasures as an evil, and what do you call it? Things like this. They stay away from their passions, and um, do not absolutely deny the fitness of marriage. Yeah, so they were married, yes, but they guard against the bad behavior of women. So there was women there. So in some documents it says there isn't, in the others, and it says these men are despisers of riches. They're not after money or anything, yeah, and they don't waste their clothes until or their shoes until things get damaged or destroyed. Yeah, that's how the people were in World War One, and they're still in a similar way today, even though they're living in cities and settlements with the fake borders from Morocco. The French put the borders, Libya on one side, the Italian put the borders, the English put them on the other side. Yes, and what do you call it? Um, what we can see is that they're simply, the Sunnis. I don't see any difference. If anybody can prove it, prove it. Bring your evidence. Now let's have a look at Judea. Judea is after Judah. Now Flamenco has shown that same like English, there is English in America, English in Europe, English in Australasia. Yes, so there is Judah, which is the Holy Roman Empire. Then there's Judah, which is the Byzantium Empire, and then there is the Judah in the Middle East. Yes, and they're telling us that the what do you call it? Yes, that the modern people who've gone to Israel that they are Judah. Then why are all these people in the Middle East called Judah? Why is their tribe and their people, millions of them, called Judah? How can this be possible? Is it not clear that they are Judah, that they are the tribe of Israel, that they are the Essenes or the Sunni, or the followers of light, or the sons of light, as it is said in the Germanic languages? Yes. Is this not clear, Raphael?
Well, you make a great case, I would say, yes.
It's just a case, or Raphael?
I
I'm going to
do
say,
not have
I'll
enough
give you an
information,
example.
David.
It's
From what
somebody's
you said,
surname in Germany. Many people in Holland are called Musselman. It's clear that
mm,
they're from the origin, from the tribe of Musselman or the or Muslims, which is
well,
clear.
the Sunni
Everyone knows.
Sun connection is very clear, So, and also
No,
the
Sunni is a Western pronunciation.
mm,
Their pronunciation is Sunnah, Sunnah,
hmm
or As-Sunnah. They have two pronunciations, As-Sunnah, some of them, and Sunnah. And now the Germanic word is Sunnah. It's exactly the same.
yeah, yeah,
Not something I'm inventing, and
yes, yes.
it's
No,
written
that's
in the
clear.
history. It's written in the history of Europe. They left the city areas to go to the deserts. Isn't that them?
Right, yeah, it
Eh,
definitely matches
let's have a
up.
look at more about these Essenes, and let's compare them to these modern Sunnis. Yes, what do you call it? Yes, they wear white clothes. Yes, they use cold water. Even today in the Middle East, they don't even warm the water. They say it's cold, so what? And they wash their body and then they pray. Yes, and they don't have any other sects and things like this. They eat together and things like this, and they eat together like from one plate of food. That's what the majority of Muslims do. Yes, even in the Balkans, when I was in Albania, in Kosovo, places like this, I ate with families there. They're all eating around one table.
hmm
Yeah, yeah, from one plate. Yeah, you don't know these things.
Well,
The
this I had
Muslims.
seen.
Yeah, Yeah, they're in Europe, so, and everywhere. They still do these things today. You know, there's Moroccans, there's Algerians, there's Afghans, Pakistans, Indian Muslims, all of them. Strangely, they sit and they put their hand together on the same plate. Now that many of them have come to Europe, they're changing these traditions, sitting on a table instead of the floor, and instead of eating from the same place, they separate things. But or otherwise, they eat from the same plates and everything. When I go to the Middle East, I've done that myself. And the thing is, I used to think when you know, many years ago, I used to think, how could I eat or drink from the same place? Here is an example that they'll all put their hand. Now they use plates and separate things a little, but you know, in the last 20, 30 years, as modernization has got there, but they didn't used to do this before. Yes. So the thing is, but anyway, if we have a look at you know, medieval images of the original Christians and the original Jews, the Virgin Mary was a Jew. Yes. The thing is, she don't look like no Christian or Jewish girl to me. She looks like a Jew from Judah or these Essenes, yes, and these
Hmm.
Essenes are the Sunnis, yes. And Judah is what do you call it? What we call Arabs. The name Arab is an invention. Yeah, let me just go through it again and show more evidence in case people think I'm making it up. They can go and check it themselves. Oh yeah, it's regular. On the top part, I show Judah is more frequently found in Saudi Arabia than any other name. Oh yeah, 5 members of the Judah family, 2014, were killed by Israeli airstrikes. Oh, they've killed thousands of these Judah people. Yes, and once again, I'll send it again because people don't understand that there's 3 Judahs. The Holy Roman Empire, you know, the European Western people are Judah. And here we'll see, yeah, they dress in white. They'll sit together. If there's too many people, they can't use the same plate, but they'll get the food out from one place and they will share it. They're one community. Yes. So this is found in the evidence from what Josephus says and everyone else says. We don't see this in any other religion. And then what they pointed out, Josephus and everybody else, is that the rich, the poor, everybody, they must stand together and sit together, eat together, and pray together before the eyes of God. Yeah, there's no rich, no poor, you can't, whatever. Now that westernization has got there, things are slowly changing. And it says, no one obtains the government without God's assistance or permission. That if he be in authority, he can't abuse his authority, his own, and his even the people in power, he cannot wear clothes. Yes, that his clothes are showing that he's more richer or anything else like this and everything. So now let's have a look at it even in Saudi Arabia. They call him MBS, Mohammed bin Salman. Yeah, I was shocked when I looked at this. You know, that he's just walked into a mosque. Yes, the Grand Mosque of Mecca. Anybody can go there, and he's got to wear the same clothes, white clothes as everybody else. I think yeah, you know Mohammed bin Salman, the leader of Saudi Arabia, the
Yes.
Saudi king, and his father, the king, sat there. Why are they wearing the same clothes? Does this not? That's the Essenes. Am I wrong here? Every single point of description that we found about the
Hmm.
Essenes matches these Sunnis. Isn't this strange?
Hmm.
And oh, mysteriously, yes, they were in Judea. If that is Judea in the Middle East, the third Judea, it's them. They're even called Judah. Their name is Judah. They've been called Judah for centuries. Do you think they're making it up? Do you think their name is supposed to be Johnny Smith, man? Or it's supposed to be Willie Smith or somebody? Do you think their name's Jones? Or do you think their name is, you know, something else? Do you think that they've changed millions of people's names? You know, everyone says many people even say it. In Israel, there's many videos calling them dumb Arabs. If they're dumb, they can't be smart enough to change everybody's name. Oh, by the way,
No.
the Israelis gave the identification cards to many of these Arabs, and they've got the name Judah. Huh? What's going on here? Isn't it clear now, Raphael? Oh, here, let's have a look. Here is Erdogan, the president of Turkey. So now if he goes there, then he must behave in the same way and he must wear the white clothes. And he cannot, what do you call it? He cannot, be anything special that there's many civilians who are there. They've come back and said he's walking around. He can't have any special clothes or anything. He's got to be the same like the others. Poor. You understand? Equal. Here is the king of Jordan, yes, and he's gone there too, and they're all the same thing. Can you see? Isn't
Yeah.
this what the Essenes are? Yes,
Yes, yes, it seems to match up, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. There's actually too much evidence. The thing is, yeah, there's too much evidence. You know, the thing is, um, it's it's just too much evidence. I don't know what to say. And then there is many historical legends that say King Arthur and the Knights Templar, that they were all related to the Essenes. And the Knights Templar were known that they could speak Arabic and that they were the followers of
Right.
Muhammad. Yes. And you will say, why is there many people with the family name Judah in Arabia? Yes, even 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 after the Renaissance, they turned around and said that the people of Judah, yes, were in Arabia. Yes, that the southern parts of the empire, or these people, are over there. And now the Dead Sea Scrolls, they've tried to change everything, the things there, but they still mention the same thing: the sons of light, or the sons of or the men of the sun. You understand? Or the Sunnah, the light
Mm-hmm.
of God. And the Quran has these stories in. We can't find these stories in the Bible. They're missing. Nobody can find the stories of the Essenes or the Zealots. It's a bit strange. Yes, almost like they've been deleted from there on purpose. Yes, and the Essenes or the Sun or the Sunnis or the Sunnas or the Sunnis, all these people, they still claim themselves today to be the chosen ones of God, or or the followers of the light of God, or the way of God, and they say that they're going to fight the enemies of the real Israel, who are the sons of darkness. That's why they all say that the Israel, the state that's been set up, is run by fake people. You understand? And
Mm-hmm.
the Quran, actually, many people don't know. It just talks about the children of Israel, the people of Israel. It just mentions them on and on and on. That anybody who reads it will think, I thought this is going to talk about Muslims or something. So now many of these Muslims claim, these Hadith books have been with the Muslims for centuries, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, prior to the 20th century, it's a known fact, yes, that these so-called Sunnis, Arabs in the Middle East, that they were illiterate. 99% could not read or write. Yes, so if they couldn't read and write, more than 99%, 99.9%. Yes, traveling, there's no roads or anything. Yeah, and they're not meeting outsiders or anything. They had nothing to do with these historical books known as Hadith that are in Cairo and in a few other places that the Europeans put there. That the original Sunni system that they're still even following today has been passed down orally. There was no printing presses,
Mm-hmm.
no books. There was nothing. There's nothing there, absolutely. We can't find anything. Yes, these were the Sunnis or the Essenes, that they went away from the world. They originally came from the Eastern Mediterranean and from Western Europe. Yeah, they must have married many people from local places. That's why many of them have become darker. Many of them are very white. That if they return to Europe within 4 or 5 generations, they will look white like the Germanic people.
Right.
Yes. So the evidence is really clear. Yes. And the evidence is really clear. And so now, what about these Judah people who were Christians? Eh? In Lebanon, in Syria, in Palestine? Wait a minute, these guys can't read and write, but now they've mysteriously become Christians? Yeah? There's no books there, no nothing? Yeah. Well, let's see the spread of Christianity. As Flamenco says, the Bible was finished by the 18th century. Colonial Christian missions, yes, they started preaching Christianity in the last 200-300 years there, and many people, it is known that from Muslim families their children became Christian. Yes, many. This is documented even in the 1950s. The so-called Palestinian Christians didn't even know how to celebrate Christmas. They were being told by the missionaries in school. Damn, they didn't even know what Christmas was.
Hmm.
Yes, it's because they didn't even have Christian. Yes, and it's not only this. What do you call it? Yes, so the colonial education system, they created these local religious movements like the Maronite Christians, the Alawites, the Baptist Christians, Pentecostal Christians, Armenian church, this church, that church, this type of Judaism, that type of Judaism. And then another thing is, everyone knows is that many of the Jewish people who came from Baghdad and other places, they went to Alliance Israel schools, which were open from Europe. They got taught this modern Arabic, standard Arabic in the Alliance schools. For example, in Iraq, especially in Iraq. Yes, and from there they got taught the Talmud, or they didn't even know the Talmud. They were just simple Essenes. They were the simple local people who followed the original way of God. And then the thing is, that's why they made sure Judaism wasn't much different from Islam, because they had to slowly modify it so that
Hmm.
people didn't notice. Yes, otherwise it wouldn't it wouldn't work. And why did they open schools for the Muslims as well? They started teaching these hadith books with sectarian things, and many historians have noticed that the colonial schools were training people so that soon they will become, what you call it, workers for the French industries. I don't mean like industry factories that they're going to be serving the state. In other words, they're going to become prisoners, in these nation states that happened. Yes. And Christianity basically appeared as a force after these colonial schools came. So that's why we've got people who've got the name Judah, who are Iraqi Jews, or what do you call it? Yes, Syrian Jews or Syrian Christians. Yes, what do you call it? Yes, the appearance of Christianity in colonial society. It's well known that Christianity spread with these colonial empires, British, French, Spanish, Dutch, everything. Yes, and not only that, well, so the other schools were competing. Yes, was the Quran schools, that the people started thinking, hey, the Quran is under threat, so we'll have to get people to memorize them. Yes, and now let's go through the Crusades. Yes, the Crusades, nobody in the Middle East, nobody, almost nobody knew the Crusades in 1800. You stop any of these Essenes or Sunnis or Bedouins or anybody in these Muslim desert lands, they've never heard of the Crusades. Yes, and many people who've done research, I've done this myself. I've asked old people, have you heard of the Crusades? Anything. I've told people to translate. Have you heard of this story, that story? Saladin, King Richard, anything. They've never heard of the Crusades. Those histories were taught in colonial schools, and
Hmm.
today it's become accepted history for the educated people in the Middle East. They really think the Crusades happened. Oh, by the way, they were taught by the Europeans. There was no Crusades in the Middle East. The Crusades were actually people fighting in Europe. What do you call it? This you'll find this information online. Many people have done research, not just me. I've asked many people, over 100 people. Like here, what does it say here? Yes, um, read that. What does it say, Raphael?
If you had asked someone in the Muslim world about the Crusades in the 18th century, he or she would have known nothing about them.
Because they never happened in Europe, in the Middle East, I mean. Yes. So, oh, here, yeah. So, yeah, many people are saying it. You can find this history online. The Crusades were taught where?
Of course, in the colonial schools. Hmm.
Yes, they gave them a fake history. Yes. Oh, there's other people, they've given their assessments because they know these people memorize the Quran and the Essene way or the Sunni way or the Sunnah in the Germanic accent. Yeah. The people in the Middle East have long memories. It's true. They memorize these things. But in the Crusades, they seem to have a recovered memory, or a memory that was, what was it, Raphael? The Crusades were,
Manufactured for them by their European conquerors.
yeah. So in the same way, if we conquered, let's say Brazil, we can teach them a new history. So that's what these people did. Yes, and Flamenco says it clearly and shows it clearly that the Crusades was in Europe, Eastern Europe against Western Europe. Yes, and he even points out that let's have a look. The Khazars and Kiev and Rus, yeah, Kiev and Rus, Kiev in Ukraine, and the Mongol Islamic governmental structure and administration is basically the same thing. Yes, it's basically the same thing. Yes, and what do you call it?
Hmm.
It's not just over there that we saw these Islamic things. We find them everywhere. Arabic coins circulating England in Anglo-Saxon Middle Ages times, which doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, most people couldn't even speak English in England more than 100 years ago. Yes, and then Flamenco even points this out that the entire territory of Russia, Eastern Europe, there's nothing but Arabic coin, and even Italian, German swords, Arabic writing. Yes, and the Bedouins can't read and write. Hey, they can't read and write. That's why I've said that the Arabic writing and everything came from Europe and went over there recently.
Hmm.
You see? They couldn't even read and write. Yes, and all these Russian warlords and everything, throughout the Middle Ages and everything. Yes, the Russian warlords, the military generals, all of them, the kings, princes, yeah, covered with inscriptions of the Arabic Quran. And somebody puts a comment saying, "Hey, when I went to the museums, I didn't see them because, hey, Arabic writing, even the styles have changed." Does Kufic means everybody has different handwritings. That's one. Two, another thing is many of these items are not displayed in the public display area. How many things are you going to put there? How are you going to put 100,000 swords on display? Yes. So they change displays like, some museums every week, some every month. So now let's look through Khazaria. Many people say the Ashkenazi Jews or the Jews in Poland were Khazars. Now let's have a look. Yes, the Khazars were in medieval Russia and in Ukraine. Yes, Ukrainians, Polish, Russians. Now, in the same region, Anatolia's Fomenko has pointed out, it's not just the coins, it's the weapons. Yes, the weapons and everything has got Arabic writing all over them. This this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. So now the thing is now, before we go into the Khazars, I will just show another reason why the Essenes didn't pay taxes. They didn't believe in these governments. And now let's have a look at the Muslim Sunnis. Yes, especially the Sunnis. What's so strange about these people is that let's look at Afghanistan. It's got a historical record of low taxation, inefficient system of collecting tax. They can't collect the tax. The people don't pay them. Now let's have a look at the Middle Eastern countries. These, Essene Sunni countries or Muslims. Arab countries have a systematically low tax collection rates. Yeah, compared to the size of their economies. What's going on here? How come they can't collect taxes? Or is it because of the entire system? Yes, throughout the Middle East and Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, yes, Turkmenistan, all of them, something's wrong. You can't seem to get the taxes of them. Oh, even in Israel, they say 20% is Arabs, or they say 19% is Arabs in many documents. But it's around 20. They say where the Arabs are living, they're reluctant. What do you call it? Yes, even the cities, the Israeli authorities don't even want to bother to collect taxes from these people because they're not going to pay. They don't believe in
Hmm.
taxation payments. Can you see it? Yes. And let's have a look. So, Israel keeps better records than these Arab countries. In the Arab countries, the majority or more than half don't pay. Look at Israeli Arab municipalities. They collect 70% less property tax. What do you mean property tax? Who the hell are you to say that, why are they asking people to pay tax? Oh, in these democracies, you pay tax, then you're stuck working for the rest of your life 9 to 5. Or when you go to university and school education, you're not learning anything. You're learning how to work just to pay tax for the rest of your life. Yes? Yeah. So this is something else. What do you call it? Yes. And then the Sunnis and everything. Let's see why these Muslims don't want democracy. Yes. And the thing is, let's see, in Israel, the sex education, trans sex education, everything else in the schools. Yes, gender education, everything. The Essenes or the Sunnis or this family called Judah, these Judah people, we're calling them Arabs, but they're from the tribe of Judah. They are genuinely from the tribe of Judah. Yes, even though you want to deny it, you can't say they're from the tribe of Russia or from the tribe of Japan. Their name is Judah. Yeah, they don't want to learn all these things. They don't want to send their children to Israeli schools. They don't want to pay taxes so that their children can learn about sex. Why would you want to pay taxes so that your children can learn to have a sex change? I don't think they're interested. Yes, these people who are trying to preserve the way of Christ. Yes, and let's see, even in Europe and America, where your tax money goes. Yes, what do you call it? Federal government wastes taxes. You'll see it all on the news. Billions and billions every year, where your money goes. Let's see where it goes. McCain Library built with 83 million in taxpayers' money. It's stolen. They're stealing it. Who the hell is McCain? Who's going to read these books anyway with the false economics and the false history? Oh, yeah, all these hotels, rich companies, your tax money. What they do is rich people open a company. Then they say the company's going to go bankrupt. Then in newspapers, they use the word bailouts. They're lying. Why don't you just turn around and say your governments in these democracies are giving trillions of dollars, yeah, to rich people because they take this money and then they spend it and waste it. Yes. And then what about the banking system in all these countries? Yes. The Muslims are refusing this. They only believe in gold coins, the zloty or the zealots currency. The zealots refused the coins. Yes, of these fake silver and bronze coins that the Greeks or these fake Byzantine Greeks or Byzantine Romans were giving out and other principalities because they said gold, no inflation, no interest rates. Whereas people in our democracies are getting ripped off. Prices will always go up, but your paper value will go down. Yes, and then we're told about the jihad or the holy war. These Muslims and the Prophet Muhammad was crazy. Let's see about the Prophet Muhammad and let's read it in the Quran. In the Quran, it says, you shall not have a banking system with these things, fake interest so that you're going to rip people off. And then the so-called jihad or the holy war, it's a strange holy war. These Muslims are, somebody will say strange once you read the Quran, because it says, what do you call it, the jihad or the holy war was declared against the bankers. And if they repent, giving up this, banking system, then what do you call it, they'll be forgiven. Or that the war has been declared on them by God and the Prophet Muhammad. Can you see this? I mean, what type of holy war is this?
And
Well,
actually, it sounds similar to Jesus, throwing out the moneylenders from the temple, right?
Oh, but we've been told that these Essenes or Sunni Muslims or these zealots or the followers of the Zaltan or Salatan or the people who prayed, yes, with these swords and everything, they went around chopping heads. Holy war, and then nobody even reads the Quran, and nobody in Western history or media, hardly anybody mentions this. Why don't they want to say that they were fighting against the bankers, the barons? Yes, the Vatican. And all these people who were the bankers, it was the Jesuits who were the bankers. The dollar or the thaler that came in Germany and in the 16th century, invented in 1519, in the same year as 1519 of the Talmud. Yes, where they put a bit of Hebrew writing. Yes, with the symbol for God in Hebrew. Yes, Jehovah with the symbol of the triangle. How many people don't know this? But that's in my books and things like this. But anyway, it says that this holy war jihad has been declared by these Muslims. Yes, in the Quran. So the thing is, the declaration of war. Let me just send it to make it clear. Yes, the bankers. Yes, the IMF, the World Fund. They've got a declaration of war from God and His messengers. Yes, this is the reality of Islam. Even the Muslims born in Europe and America probably don't know what day it is. They don't know how to describe it themselves. Yes, God knows if they've read these things. It's in their book in the Quran. Yes. Now let's have a look at the rich people. The rich people are, let's say, 1% of the world's population. Has got more than half of the world's wealth. Wow, that's so cool, man! 63%. Yeah. What do you call it? They own more than and 1% of the world's population. Yeah. These rich people, they're staying in these hotels and everything. Oh, damn! I'm staying in these hotels too. Or when these hotels don't make money, taxpayers in Germany, in Israel, in America, they pay the bailout. Oh, if I'm paying, $300 or $1,000 or $200 a night to stay in one of these rooms, the price should be a lot higher. But, because people pay taxes, people like David, I've stayed thousands of days in hotels. I get to benefit, the 1% rich. Thank you guys for paying taxes. Oh, damn, these Muslims don't pay taxes. We need Israel to make sure that these people pay taxes. That's one. Then people like me, and especially my family, me, I've changed. I've changed, guys. I repent. I've changed, guys. You got to let me off now. I didn't know that you guys are paying taxes so that wealthy people, it's not my fault. My father made me stay in hotels since I was born. Yes, traveling and, my daddy and his expensive cars. I don't even want to say these things, but the thing is, all these Hilton hotel bailouts, airline bailouts and everything. So, the 1%, people will say, what is the 1%? They don't check. 1% is actually 80 million people. You see? So it's not what people are imagining. That's why the New World Order is so big. That 1% won't let go. I've got members in my family, yeah, who I know in the past, they've done things like the mafia and things, such things. They were involved in, such things that you won't even believe it. Yeah. Oh, these hotels, yeah, that I've stayed. I'm not talking about holiday people who's staying a few days or a few weeks in a year. $250 billion bailout. Oh, then the price will stay cheap so that people like David can stay. Thank you, everybody, for paying tax. Thank you for being good citizens. Yes, thank you. Raphael, I'm so proud of these people. Are you?
Yeah, well, it's good if they, get to
I'm
understand
enjoying it. I
who they're
enjoy
paying
it.
for, so
Yeah, they paid for things like me to benefit, because I benefited from it hugely, so that I could fly around many places, do many things. It was wonderful. Thank you for paying all those taxes. Yeah, God knows how many years you worked. Yes, all these corporations that are developing the world so that the 1%, 80 million, probably I'm in that 80 million. Yes, can enjoy themselves. Yes. Oh, the only people who are fighting against this world system is these Sunnis or the Essenes or these so-called Muslims. We must control the Middle East. There must be an Armageddon there. We must have nation states there. They've got to start using paper cash money. And oh yeah, because they're dangerous, it's a good excuse to bring in microchips and everything. Yes, we got Israel on our side. Don't you think it's going to be okay? Now, the Islamic word is actually salat, the word salat or zealot in English. It's salat in some other languages. But now let's have a look at these Latin languages. Yes, they say prayer, and the word prayer actually means beg in Western languages. Yes, what do you call it? Yes, but salat in the Quran doesn't mean beg. It's like a friendship and a contact with God and other things. Yes, and the word para, prayer, actually comes from the word para, Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
Are you beginning to see? Parish church, Pharaoh's church. are you are you beginning to see everything now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so the thing is, they used to say paradios, yes, and then the parist, parer, paresh, there it's all the same system. It's Pharaoh's system. Now that's Christianity. Yes. Now the thing is, many people and the Pharisees, they were the ones who wanted Christ dead. Now the Essenes and the Sunnis, they were following the way of Christ, and they've kept the way of Christ and the way of God for centuries. Yes, that it was there even before the Quran. The Quran says it was already there before. Yes, the Pharisees, the Parish, and the Pharaohs. Yes, it's the same thing. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, it's basically the same thing. Yes, and if anybody says it's not the same thing, even when you read some of these Greek Gospels and many things in the Old Greek, it's basically the same word for Pharisee and Pharaoh. It's basically the same word. Comes from the same word, same everything. Now the thing is, yeah, and the thing is, um, there is sultan. Yeah, the word sultan, some people will say, doesn't come from salat. Yes, that's because they're going to use these English words, blah blah blah. Don't even comment if you're going to put some garbage. Yeah, because they won't look around the world. But the Turks, yes, they turn around and say one sultan. Yeah, he was called Salahatin or Salatan or Salatan or Sultan. Can you see it? Salah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the Turks pronounce Salah, Salah, or they write it like that because that's how their modern dictionary writes it. Yes, Salatin Ayubi. Yes, and so these things are there. Salatin and Sultan, it's the same word, and it comes from the word prayer or salat and things like this. Now, another thing is the word salah or selah. Selah in Turkish they spell it with an e because they're in Europe, and Europe invaded Turkey and took over. Yes, after World War I, and then they set up their independent government in agreement. Now, the word salah is in the Bible 74 times. 74 is suspicious. Yes, because 74 represents God in English. Yes, and other things. You'll have to read my books to understand it, but read what it says. What is the meaning of the Hebrew word salah?
It
Second
is
line.
probably either a.
Second line.
Oh, its etymology and precise meaning are unknown.
Oh, they don't know, they're saying? Really? They don't know. And this word mainly turns up in the book called the Psalms or the Psalms. Yeah, can you see it? Yes, it's
Yeah.
mainly what do you call it, in the book called the Psalms. Yeah. So the thing is, salah can be used to indicate that there is a musical interlude at the points in the salam or anything. God knows why they're using difficult words here. But let's have a look. Yes, it's to do with the Psalms. The Psalms has been called the prayer book. Salah means contact or prayer or communication with God. Yes, and the Salats or the Zealots, they wanted to preserve the prayer system. Can you see? And they're trying to say we don't know what it means. Can you see they're lying?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see this or you can't? The Psalms, they're a prayer book. The Psalms mention the Salah. Yes, but they're telling us we don't know what it means.
Well, seems unlikely.
Not unlikely they're lying. It's a bit clear they're lying. So the thing is always, yeah. So the salat, yeah, in English they spell it with a Z. In other languages, they spell it with an S. The salats are the people who follow the salats. Yes, they were a Jewish sect. No, they were not the modern Jewish sect. They were the original people from Judah. That included people from other tribes who even joined them, and they were not only in the Holy Roman Empire, but in the Eastern Roman Empire and in Judea. So the thing is, it's becoming clearer who these people were. Yes? Yeah.
Right.
It's becoming clearer who these people were the more we go out of it. And then the thing is, when we look at who was the Sultan or the meaning of Sultan, they try to give modern meanings, but the Sultan was the person who selected the people for prayer. He was the leader of prayer, and he chose the people who will pray. You see? Yes, and the Zealots had a similar system. Yes, and how do you pronounce Salat or the prayer in what do you call it in Western languages? Yes, what they try to give different pronunciations, zealot or whatever. Yes, it's basically the same word. Yes, and we find that what do you call it, Simon, the disciple of Christ, he was a zealot. And then what do we know about the zealots and the followers of Christ and the Essenes? What do we see? That they all prayed together, and that's what the Muslims do. And even the Christians say, don't put your trust in princes. These zealots and the Sunnis, they didn't have princes or leaders. You see, they didn't
Mm-hmm.
have no government. They're just running around the deserts. You see? Now let's go on to Mussulman, and we'll leave this as the final point. Yes? Now, what do you call it? Yiddish or Daesh? Yes? Actually, we can't see this from a European point of view. We're going to have to see it from a global point of view. The word Dutch in Holland, the word Deutsch in Germany, the Yiddish, yes, that modern Jewish people use, the word Darsh in Morocco, or Darisha, some people pronounce, or the word Bangladesh, Daesh, yes, or Deshi in Afghanistan and Tajikistan and Pakistan. Yes, actually means language or dialect or like from a group of people. Now, the word Mussulman basically means, what do you call it, a Muslim. That in let's say in the Slavic language they put the word I Musulmani, yes, Musulmani. Even in Sanskrit, Musulman, actually Musulman in Sanskrit and throughout India, even on the other side of the world, just means Muslim. Yes. Now in Europe, they're going to say, what do you call it? Also means Muslim, meaning it's got other meaning words. They're lying. They're lying. And how is this Mussulman, Messelman? It's spelt in different ways when they wrote ID cards. Musulman, 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 Messelman. Yes, it's basically Muslim man. Yes, it's just Muslim. Yes. So now let's go back to the Pale settlement, or Palais en français, Palais, Palestine. And so now for the Mussulman, and then we'll finish this off. So the thing is, this place, many of these people were orphans. Yes. I explained it before. It's in my book, Orphan Trains. But orphans always, everyone knows this, orphans remember quite a lot. Yes. Now in the deserts, because they did oral things and they memorized the Quran orally, in city areas, people don't memorize the Quran orally. But many of these orphans, yeah, who were in the Pale settlement, who mysteriously became 300,000 Jewish children, yes, nobody knows who their parents were, they remembered how the many things. That's why in modern Orthodox Judaism, there is many practices that they do that are identical to Islam. Even the prayer system and many other things and many of the words are exactly the same. Yes, halal, halakhala, and all these other things, salam, shalom, and they will say shalom lichum, salam lichum. Yes, so the things are exactly the same. It's not 10, there's hundreds. I've just given an example. People can check these things today. Yes, and then the thing is, many people will turn around and say, why is there not many Jews? In the same way, there's not many Jehovah's Witnesses. There's not many Baha'i religion people. Yes, and that's because, as Professor Henry Atlan, who's from a Jewish background himself, has said, Judaism was created after Islam and Christianity. And because Judaism has been recently created, obviously it doesn't have that many followers. And then all these yeshivas where people are dressing in black, learning the Talmuds, the modern system, they only started in the 19th century. They didn't open yeshivas for 2,000 years in these ways. Oh, yeah. And then all these yeshivas that turned up in the Pale settlement in Poland. Oh, Raphael, can you open a school tomorrow? Just put 500, 1,000 orphans there. 1,000 only. You got to feed them, clothe them. You got to look after them. Oh, it's cold in Northern Europe. You got to make sure they're hot. You've got to make sure they learn everything. You got to have the teachers.
No
Can you
problem
afford this
if the
yourself?
government pays for it.
The people in power, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. You got to buy the land, the building, everything, or pay the rent. You got to do everything. So now, many of these schools in the 19th century, church schools, and what do you call it? These sectarian Islamic schools, and these so-called sectarian Jewish schools like yeshivas and aligned schools, were established by missionaries and other organizations registered in Paris and London and other places. Yes, and what type of people were paying for them? Like the Alliance School was financed by Faran or Baron. Yes, the word Baron means Faran. Yes, like Firan means Pharaoh. Yes, and the people, yeah, who were financing these schools and whatever because they were so-called Bill Gates philanthropists. You know, like Bill Gates pays people things, yeah, because he really cares. He's not going to give food to Africa. He's going to give them his medication.
How kind of him.
Oh, they can starve and die, but the medicine's free. This man, yeah. Do you see? Yes.
Hmm.
So they're telling us all these people paid for the Orthodox Christian schools, Orthodox Jewish schools, yeshivas, everything. Isn't this so strange? What do you call it? Yes. Um, yeah, but it's a bit clear what was going on. They're destroying Europe. Many people they were sending them, on debt to America because they know if you're a 30-year-old woman, you're not going to work. You've just been your land's been stolen. You've been trashed in Germany or Poland or Italy or Hungary. So then you think, I'm going to go to Holland, where the Vatican has set up the Dutch East Indies Company, yeah, with the Indians in partnership, the Indians. Yes, and from there, I'll get on a boat, but I'll be indebted in a debt, in a contract. I've got to work for them for 10 years as a slave. Now, the thing is, I'm signing this contract willingly because that Polish girl asked before. So because they've signed it willingly, of course, you're going to work. You see? So all these colonial schools, whether it's a Jewish school or a Christian school or a Muslim school in the Middle East or whatever, they were financed by these private people as well as by the colonial governments. Oh, these private people, what are they calling them? What does it say? Read it yourself. Private,
I'm not seeing 1 second.
financed by colonial governments are
Maybe I see. Oh, or private actors. Haha, actors. Yeah, great.
actors. Yes, because many of these rich people who invested in them were working for other people. That's how Christianity mysteriously got in all these strange places. You got Christianity in Singapore, in Indonesia, in Burma, or what they call Myanmar, because the missionaries spread it. They've not been Christians for centuries. It's a lie. They destroyed these people's civilizations and then they took over. So it was a total lie. Now, Raphael, because it's been such a long time, we're going to have to continue this next time. But just so that in case, because there's some of these Islamists who are just pathetic. Yes, I can't be bothered with them with their stupid comments. Yes, the thing is, here is a map throughout the Khazar settlements, the Pale settlements, where all these so-called Jews live. Yes, there's nothing but Arabic coins there. This is mapped by Anatoly Fomenko all the way through to the 17th century. All these gold coins, zealots coins, zloty coins, or whatever, Poland, East Germany, the majority of the coins found in all the major human settlements. Yeah, and these coins, mysteriously, they say there is no God but Allah. They don't have Hebrew. Hebrew mysteriously started turning up in the 17th century. Yes, or 16th century, 17th century. I'll explain that next time, or people will have to read my books. Yes, and then there is another thing, what do you call it, the Khazars or the ancestors of the Ashkenazi Jews. It's a lie. People saying the Khazars with the Babylonian Talmud, they were evil or something. No, there is no evidence of this whatsoever. It's just some fantasy. You've been what do you call it? Yes. Watching these so-called truthers spreading garbage. The ancestors of the Ashkenazi Jews, the Poles, and many other people, call them Khazars, call them Slavs, call them whatever you want. They're in Eastern Europe. And the thing is, what do you call it? How do we know that Arabic was used before the Prophet Muhammad? Yes. What do we find on these gold coins? Look at the latest page I'm sending you right now.
Mm-hmm. An Arabic line reading Musa Rasul Allah. Moses is the messenger of God.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Arabic coins in Northern Europe that says Moses is the messenger of God.
But what's
It
also
says there
great
is
is
no
that
God to
the
follow.
headline says, of course, it's some imitation Islamic coins minted in early medieval
Uh,
Europe.
Wait a minute. Why are they going to copy it and they forget to write Muhammad is the messenger of God, but they wrote what do you call it? Moses is the messenger of God in Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
So that means there was coins there in Northern Europe, yes, before Muhammad, or these people didn't follow Muhammad. Now, if now there's going to be, some people there who are already going to say yes, 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 yes. What do you call it? The Khazars, they didn't follow the Prophet Muhammad. The Yes. So now these many of these people who are pointing these facts out, what they don't tell you is the full story. Here are examples of these coins that are found. Yes, you know, yes, and on the round outside, there's routing on them. Now let's just have a look what these things say. So now the thing is to have a look at what they say. Now here is somebody who's done some proper research, or somebody who can read Arabic, and what do they say? You can read it yourself.
Khazar coins include both the phrase Muhammad Rasulullah at the top and Musa Rasulullah at the bottom. Mm-hmm.
So do you know what this shows? It shows that there's coins that say Moses. Rasul means messenger or prophet of God. And what we can see is that Moses is the prophet of God, and that these people in Northern Europe, yes, accepted Muhammad as the messenger of God. And that's why they put both these names there. Do
Mm-hmm.
you see? And then eventually it became only Muhammad is the messenger of God in these gold coins. So what we can see is that it's like, for example, there's President Trump, then there's the transition period onto Biden, then Biden has totally taken over. You see? So what we can see is that Moses was the messenger of God, and then people accepted the new prophet, and then after the transition period, took over. Now, many people pointed this out mysteriously. Yes, I'll have to go through it next time, even in Scandinavia and everywhere else, and throughout Europe. The dollar was invented in Europe. Yes, called Talar or pronounced Taylor, they'll say, but it's really the dollar. And here you'll see, here's the dollar in some of the German cities. Don't forget, every city was a different country at that time. Yes. So now in the 17th century, we see these coins. This is from Hamburg. This coin, I can see that what we can see on this coin is that there is Hebrew writing with Jehovah in the sun in the clouds. Can you see this?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Ah, now the thing is, this was the dollar. Now the dollar is in the United States, and Chinese people love the dollar very much. You have lots of dollars. You is a richer man. So now let me see. Many people, because they don't look carefully, now you will see that many of the dollars look like this. Now this is God, who is the sun, and he's got the Hebrew name on. Yeah, you will see on one side of the coin. What is on the other side of the coin, Raphael? What do you see? The sun, who is God,
Oh,
that was written Jehovah.
and the
What
triangle,
is he?
or however you call it, the
Ah,
Eye of
yeah, the
Providence.
pyramid. Yes, with the eye, with the one eye. Yes. So this thing, if people will have to read my books and understand it. And don't forget, Germany was in one country, so many people turn around and think it's one territory. This map is just based on the German territory from around the 19th century. But before then, even France was in one country. The Jesuits set up in Paris, and like the Talmud was founded in 1519. We'll go through it next time. Palestina in Sweden,
And just
and
one
then the
thing
30.
here is suspicious because it says it's 1679, but the writing is modern German and modern Hebrew, so that wouldn't
Yes,
fit.
yes. So the thing is, what we know about this is that they played with the calendar. Yes. For example, it's like we don't know if they can cause an Armageddon from this Middle East thing because these Muslims, they don't pay taxes. Come on, you know. What about people like me, Raphael? How can I keep on traveling, staying in rich hotels, parties, the fast cars, my friends, everybody, you know? How are we going to afford these bottles of champagne, which are worthless, but we pay $200 per bottle and things like this? We're just wasting things. How can we carry on with these things? If one quarter of the world doesn't want to pay us cash, tax we call it. We're spending a lot of this money on bailouts and all this garbage, which comes back to no, I mean you're paying the taxes, so it comes back to me,
I mean,
Raphael.
honestly,
Don't you
I
see?
wasn't aware that the so-called Essenes had so much in common with the modern-day libertarians or narco-capitalists or whatever, where they say taxation is theft, you know? It
That's
sounds
because
pretty much like
nobody's
that.
reading the Quran. That's because one, they don't read the Quran, and then the Quran says follow the way, which is the Sunnah, exact same way as the German word follow the way of light, or the way of God, and things like this. They don't go and talk to Muslims. That's why I turned on said that these Quranists are a joke. Yes, you want to learn this Islam, go to a mosque, ask them for the Quran. Yeah, instead of fake translations online or bookshops, ask them for advice. Tell them to separate, because many of them are born in the West. Tell them to separate the Muslim history they read in the books. That is very important. Yes, and then you will get to original Islam. Yes, you will get to original Islam because we can. It's a known fact. Like even right now, who the hell wants to go to the deserts of Chad if they know where Chad is? Yes, or Mali. Yes, who the hell wants to go there or to South Libya or to South Algeria or in the Sahara Desert? Just go and see these people and you will find the original way of God or an original system that has not been infected by the rest of the world. And what we call poverty in this side of the world, they don't call it poverty. But now there's a new generation, westernization. In many of these Muslim countries, they're putting the internet everywhere instead of water pipelines. They're putting, the cable pipelines for internet. Ah, they can afford that. It's because the internet comes first to brainwash them into the modern world. Anyway, Raphael,
Yeah.
I've mentioned a lot of things today, so let's leave it at that. It's a bit clear about the Essenes and that they're the Sunni Muslims and that Judah is the actual local people there. And what do you call it? Western historians, Israeli historians, they're all lying. Yes, Judah, we can see is that tribe of people there. We might not like it, you know what I mean, and many Israeli soldiers on their day off, jumping around, singing and dancing, saying kill the Arabs. Maybe they want them dead if they're dead. Well, the Essene way or the way of Christ is dead, the original Sunni way. Yes. And the thing is, what do you call it? Yes, if you don't like it, it's not my problem. I'm not telling you to like it or love it, but that's the actual history. That's what the evidence shows. I've not invented the German language that the word Sunnah means the light. I didn't invent that. Yeah, I didn't invent it so that the Bible, I didn't write it so that the word Salah is there, same like it's in the Quran. I didn't invent these things. I didn't write Philo or Pliny or Josephus saying that these people left Jerusalem and the urban centers, and Jerusalem was in an urban location. Yes, and they went out to the deserts.
Hmm.
Yes, I didn't do these things. I haven't done these things. So, I've I've not paid Hamas or the Israeli state. You can't blame me. Yes, and the thing is, so you can't blame me. And I don't choose any sides. I'm saying the history. What my personal beliefs are. That's my own problem. But the thing is, If you wanted the truth in history, this is the truth. I am not saying that um, following the Pope is the way of God, or following the Essenes or the Sunnis is the way of God. I'm not saying that. That's your choice. If you want to be a devil worshipper, that's okay. If you don't, that's okay. If you pay your taxes, many of my friends are wealthy. They'll be very happy and they're so grateful. As long as you're paying the interest rates, as long as you're paying the interest rates, you're working for 40, 50 years. Your children are going to schools, colleges, and universities so that they can work and pay all
Student
this
loan
cash
debt. That's
to.
great.
Don't worry, you'll get your paid holidays 5, 6 weeks in a
Yeah,
year or
yeah,
4 weeks.
exactly. I always
Yeah.
knew this was a scam, David. Thanks for confirming it.
It's not a scam. My friends like their 24 hours a day and 56 weeks a year holiday. They're loving it. They're loving it. It's not a scam. It's not a scam. It's called their birthright. It's the upper class, my dear sir.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yes, indeed. Yes, so that's how it works. Most people who went to many of my schools, they've never done a single day's work in their lives. And you're going to say, David, you're laughing. Why shouldn't I laugh? I mean, many of you people, you look down on the system of these Sunnis or Essenes in the other side of the world in the desert, and you think that they're crazy, that they've declared the holy war against the bankers. You're on your own in this side of the world. You guys will never defeat the bankers. You're already part of the system. The only people who are going to stand up to them is those crazy people. Yeah. Now, if they lose, you've lost forever. Oh, what do you call it? Yes. My friends win.
Yeah, good point.
My friends will win. So either way, why should I have a problem with that? Why should I care about all these normal people who are working, Raphael?
Well, I guess it's
Oh,
a
when they
spiritual
don't
question
work?
at the end of the day.
Do you know when they don't work? We got nice democratic societies saying we'll give you an employment benefit, but we're going to disturb you. You've got to prove that you're looking for a job until you come back in the system as a slave.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And these Muslims, there's something wrong with them. They're resisting. They believe that only God has the authority. They don't believe in any other authority. They don't believe in this paper cash money that you put um, €1,000 or $1,000 in the bank or £1,000, and then 10 years later your money is worth nothing because of the interest rates which cause
Yes.
inflation. Oh, but these Muslims, they want to bring this, Allahu Akbar currency in gold, and the value of gold doesn't go down. That if you had £1,000 in gold, it will still be £1,000 in gold in 10 years, or it will be worth more. So if the price of gas and electric goes up, so does the price of gold. We don't want these Muslim ideas here. They're dangerous. These are terrorist ideas to bring these gold coins. Don't you think so?
I can definitely see the logic, yeah.
No. I'm Raphael. If you want to be in the bumpkin billionaires rich club, bro, if you if
Yeah,
you want
of
to join the
course.
club,
Yes, yes.
if you
I
want to
I
join the club,
understand.
yes. You, whose side are you on?
It's just
You're either
the
with us
question
or
how
you're with
well
the
someone can
terrorists.
sleep if they're scamming people day and night. But yeah,
You know what I like what about George Bush said? You're either with us or you're with the terrorists. You're
Mm,
with the bankers or you're with
yes,
these terrorists.
yes,
Oh, Israel is a banking corporation. Yes, go and talk to people in Israel. Half the people, they have to pay rent. Oh, these corporations, they own all the land. You can't build a house. Oh, the Muslims build houses anywhere. Oh, the Israeli government keeps demolishing their houses. They don't get a permit. They don't do anything.
yes.
It's God's land. Who the hell said anywhere in Europe you can't build a house? Or the land is owned by this company or that company or the state.
Not by the
You
church
don't have
usually.
any right. You got to pay rent. And if you're not working, the government says prove that they start everything. You can't even live anywhere. You can't do anything. You got to send your children to schools to learn what they say. Oh, over there, these Muslims turn around and think, what the hell do you mean go to school?
Send them to school to be brainwashed into paying taxes and not questioning
Oh, no,
the
no, no,
laws
no.
given.
And these Muslim terrorists, they're the dumb ones. Oh, sorry, not all Muslims are terrorists. I apologize. As long as they pay tax, we've got many brainwashed Muslims in Europe. They're paying taxes. You know what I mean? Things like this. There's nothing to worry about. Anyway, let's leave it at that, Raphael. People will soon understand this is not about Israel or Gaza or Palestine. This is 100-year war that's not stopped. Same like the Polish Stein that was in Europe, was in the middle of Europe, and it caused many of the wars, or it was part of the wars for 200-300 years until Europe totally got destroyed. Now, that is the agenda for the Middle East, because I've not heard such garbage. In every part of the world, wars last 5 years, 10 years, Afghan war, 20 years, 19 years. They say Iraq war, 19 years, Vietnam war, 19 years. But mysteriously, these Nobel Prize winners, yes, who are the people in power in Israel, who claim to be very clever and everything, don't know how to sign a peace treaty. That's how clever they are. Give me a break, man. Give me a break. Let's leave it at that, Raphael. Yes?
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
David, as always. And thanks everyone for listening. Kindly, put your constructive comments, ideas, and questions
Oh,
below.
Raphael, I can't say thanks to everybody for listening. I remember what you said to me, about 6 months ago or last year. You said, what are the Muslims doing about this? Because, the name Muhammad's in the Bible, things like this. Basically nothing. Yes, because their contract, the Essenes or the Sunnis, their contract was that they give up their life, their property, their wealth, and everything in exchange for paradise. Isn't this what the Muslim Quran says? I see them driving around in beautiful cars, many of these people. Don't you? Not all of them, but many of them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't want to say thank you to everybody and to some of these crazy evangelists and other people who are saying, hey, the Bible says this, the Bible says that, David, and they've not even read it. They're just quoting a few sentences. I don't want to say thank you to them either.
Well,
Let's leave it
you are
at that,
presenting the
Raphael.
information. I'm moderating, so that's my part. Still, I thank everyone
Sorry.
for
No, no,
listening.
no. Thank you to
No,
everybody as
no,
long
no,
as you
no.
pay your taxes.
Oh, yes,
As long
exactly.
as you pay your taxes, thanks everybody. Thank you very much. Because don't worry, yes, the majority of the taxes go towards bailouts and towards businesses. Yes, and of course they keep the majority of the profits. You only get a share of the profits, called that's a salary or something, and you think you're getting a lot of. I'm not laughing here. I'm actually happy that people are so civilized and they're working hard and contributing to society. I'm happy. I'm not laughing. Yes, there you go, Raphael.
Well, thank you very much, David, and we'll talk next time. Yes.
Okay, yes. Have a
Thank you.
great evening. Okay, bye.